subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
On their behalf. Today was a real eye-opener for the Grangers, and also got a lot of interesting gadgets from the wizarding world. Lucas fell asleep just looking at it. Early the next morning, the sun shines on Lucas' face. He remembered that he seemed to have fallen asleep in a chair yesterday. Presumably Wada found out and moved him to the bed. Pat, a post office owl, flies from a distance, throwing a newspaper precisely onto Lucas' windowsill. Open the newspaper. The headline on the front page featured a profile photo of Lucas. Immediately afterwards, a line of large characters came into view. Genius? Prodigy? Or another Grindelwald? Dirt. 086. Genius? Child prodigy? Still another Grindelwald. Kneeling to customize. Today is another peaceful day for the whole of England. But for the wizarding world in England, today is not peaceful. Early in the morning, numerous owls flew to all parts of England with newspapers. Nothing in the newspapers. It's all about Lucas Grindelwald and his shop. Even the most unreliable The Quibbler had a picture of Lucas on the front page. Nothing but the above. But it is exploring whether Lucas has a connection with mysterious creatures. And the Daily Prophet, the official representative of the Ministry of Magic. It took several pages to publish the news about Lucas. The front page used a photo of Lucas and Fudge. The content of the newspaper is an addition to hype Lucas's 15 stores. The rest are all praises for Minister Fudge's brilliance. And what people talk about the most is the report content of Witches Weekly. Genius? Prodigy? Another Grindelwald. Such an eye-catching title. Immediately grabs people's attention. The report popularized Lucas' surname in detail. Incidentally, it also helps people recall what another Grindelwald did decades ago. Then, the reporter started to get to the point. According to the reporter's understanding, Mr. Grindelwald's performance at Hogwarts was excellent. He is eloquent and talented, and he already possesses leadership qualities in the first year of school, which is so similar to his father. Let us take a look at this grand opening ceremony. Almost all the celebrities from the British Magic Circle attended. It also includes the Ministry of Magic and the major pureblood families. Does the reporter have reason to suspect that Mr. Grindelwald intends to imitate his father? Below these texts, the reporter accompanied a photo of Lucas chatting with members of the Saints. In the photo, members of the Saints are respectful. It's easy to make people think that Lucas is planning some evil plan. In fact, he was really just chatting with that member. The rest are basically conspiracy theories. The reporter pointed out that Lucas was not as kind as he appeared. It's almost like calling him a demon in human skin. Thanks to the wizarding world for not being charged with crimes against honor. Otherwise, Lucas must go to the Ministry of Magic to sue the other party. Turn the newspaper to the end. Lucas wanted to see who could write such an eye-catching report. But when he saw the reporter's name, his expression was a little surprised, but more relieved. Rita Skeeter, I believe anyone who knows this name knows who she is. Reporter for the Daily Prophet. Illegal Annie Magus, in the form of a beetle. Precisely because of this, Rita Skeeter is always able to photograph other people's privacy. Lucas was surprised because the other party was obviously a reporter of the Daily Prophet, but published the article in the Witch Weekly, but soon he figured out the key. The Daily Prophet is, after all, the official newspaper. How could it be possible for Rita Skeeter to talk nonsense at will? And to think that she wrote the article. Lucas was relieved. No one could make up so many stories except her. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Household name. Reward. 100 achievement points. Click. The door was pushed open. Wada and Abernathy enter. Seeing the newspaper in the boy's hand, Vita asked softly, "Do you want someone to deal with it?" "No. People are just watching for fun." Lucas put the newspaper aside and turned to look at Abernathy. "Uncle, welcome back." Abernathy is now fully recovered, even stronger than before. When the two met again, they naturally had a lot to talk about. But before that, Lucas picked up the Witch Weekly and handed it to Vita. Although the reports don't matter, the person who wrote this article is a talented person. If you find her, it may be useful in the future. In addition, Find a few members who seem to be well-educated, and let them work for the daily profit. Newspapers are the fastest way for common wizards to learn about the magic world. With newspapers in hand, we can control public opinion in the magic world at any time. Wait until Vita Rohir leaves the room. Only then did Lucas chat with Abernathy about the recent situation. Wada and Abernathy are special to him, not to mention that he grew up under the care of the two. Let's say the first spell Lucas learned was taught by the Abernathy's. So, saw Abernathy hurt. Lucas will be angry and will destroy the German Ministry of Magic. Greengrass Manor, Hampshire. Astoria Greengrass, 10, was sitting in the garden sulking. Such a grand ceremony yesterday, but the family actually forgot about her, just because she overslept. Astoria, how long are you going to be angry? Hear the voice of Sister Daphne. Astoria snorted coldly and turned his head to the other side. Well, it was my fault. Look what I brought you. Looking at the newspaper in front of him, Astoria showed doubts. Daphne pointed to the magic photo on the front page. This is Lucas Grindelwald. The newspaper in his hand suddenly disappeared. Astoria looked at the boy in the photo and said excitedly, "So this is the chief lord my sister often talks about. I really want to grow up to be 11 soon so that I could go to Hogwarts to go to school, but unfortunately, I have to wait another year." The girl finished speaking. Suddenly, he raised the newspaper to signal to his sister. "Look, the chief lord has gold hair and blue eyes, just like me." Seeing the excited appearance of my sister, Daphne slapped her forehead. She knew that she would not have lectured about the academy to this girl. The burrow. Ron Weasley woke up this morning feeling the malice from all directions, be it parents or brothers. All are talking about yesterday's opening ceremony. Naturally, the name Lucas Grindelwald also pops up from time to time. "Harry, I heard that you were in the same class. How is Mr. Grindelwald doing in school?" Of course, Harry was telling the truth. This made Molly Weasley appreciate Lucas even more. "Oh, Merlin, Mr. Grindelwald gave our family such an expensive gift. Should I knit him a sweater this Christmas?" In this case, I need to start preparing in advance. Seeing family members seems to be possessed by demons. Ron Weasley said helplessly, "Mom, don't waste your efforts in vain. That guy Lucas won't like it." "Ron Weasley, you have to learn to be grateful, you know? I heard that you always troubled Mr. Grindelwald at Hogwarts, didn't you?" Seeing his mother's serious face, Ron immediately sat down in his seat and had breakfast. "Humph." Molly snorted and continued, "I don't expect you to be like Mr. Grindelwald, but at least you got an A, pass, and not 2 Ds, terrible, and AT, troll." After Molly finished speaking, the others immediately laughed. The twins' ridicule is not concealed at all. Ron rolled his eyes angrily and turned to look beside him. "Hey, Ginny, what are you doing?" Hear Ron yelling. Ginny Weasley immediately put the Daily Prophet away. "Nothing, I'm full." Looking at the younger sister, who hurried upstairs, Ron looked at the others puzzled. Obviously, nobody wants to answer poor Mr. Weasley. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Dumbledore sat in the headmaster's office. Looking at the newspaper in my hand, I don't know what to think. Just then, Professor Snape walked in. "This is your potion for this month. Let me remind you again, Mr. Principal, if you don't ban sweets, you may not be as simple as a toothache." Professor Snape left after speaking. Before reaching the stairs, he heard Dumbledore's inquiry behind him. "Severus, what did Lucas talk to you about yesterday?" "It's nothing. He made a deal with me, asking me to provide 5 bottles of high-grade potions to his potion shop every month and 1 bottle of Felicia every 6 months. You agreed?" "Of course." Snape nodded. "I will decide the type of potion. As long as it is a high-grade potion, I have no reason to refuse such excellent conditions and generous rewards." "Well, thank you, Severus. Make sure Mr. Principal has nothing else to ask." Professor Snape turned and left the headmaster's room. England, London, Common Muggle Community. Hermione threw Witch Weekly on the ground angrily. "That's bullshit. Lucas isn't like that." Rita Skeeter? "Someone like that deserves to be a reporter." The little witch hated this reporter who dared to slander her boyfriend. He even swore that if he met the other party in the future, he would have a theory with him. The two may be doomed to feud. 3.9 in the original book, Hermione and Rita Skeeter are enemies. Unexpectedly, there was a butterfly named Lucas. The future relationship between the two still does not seem to have changed. Even Hermione hates confrontation earlier than the original. Ditch the Witch Weekly. Hermione picks up the Daily Prophet again, looking at the high-spirited teenager in the magic photo. Her face is full of pride. Honey, we're leaving for the airport. If we're late, we won't be able to go to France. Got it, Mom. Hermione put the newspaper in the trunk. Then he dragged the box out of the room. Muggle travel is really troublesome. Neither the levitation spell nor the shrinking spell can be used. The little witch suddenly felt that magic was so convenient and practical. Hours later, the Grangers walked out of the airport with their daughter, looking at the Eiffel Tower looming in the distance. The three smiled happily. At this time, Hermione's extremely familiar voice came not far from the three of them. Uncle, Aunt Hermione, what a coincidence. He looked at the blonde boy walking towards him and others. The Grangers immediately set their sights on their daughter. At this moment, Miss Granger was completely stunned. 087. The fog that fills the city of romance, and the Ministry of Magic's alarm. Kneeling to customize. Why are you here? Lucas was really cute by Hermione's surprised expression. Didn't I say before the holiday? I'm going to France to deal with some things during the holiday. Looking at the little witch who suddenly realized. He knew that the other party must have forgotten. Uncle, Aunt, it's nice to see you again. The Grangers responded with a smile. As adults, they see things more clearly than their daughters. The timing of the appearance of the blonde boy in front of him was too coincidental. However, the two never interfered with their daughter's affairs too much. And in the hearts of the Grangers, Cass is indeed an excellent little wizard. Moving salute, private car pickup, check-in salute. Everything is arranged, so just right. Looking at the boyfriend, who is chatting enthusiastically with his parents. Hermione, who was left behind alone, suddenly realized. I seem to have fallen in a Lucas trap. Continue to develop at the current pace. Parents will be taken down by him soon. The little witch who had just turned 12 suddenly woke up and hurried forward to interrupt the conversation of several people. After a short rest, Lucas led the Grangers to explore the beauty of Paris. As a landmark, the Eiffel Tower is a must. Scenic spots full of humanistic atmosphere, such as Notre Dame Cathedral and Opera House, must also be visited, especially Notre Dame. Lucas really wanted to say to the Grangers, just watch as much as you can. After all, one glance is one less. In the future, this historic cathedral will be set ablaze. Paris is one of the 30th largest cities in the world. In this era, there is no doubt about it. The streets of Paris, known as the romantic capital, are full of young couples holding hands. The banks of the Seine have become a great place for couples to take a leisurely walk. The Grangers excused being tired, entrusted his daughter to the care of Lucas. At this time, the young little wizards are holding hands and walking along the banks of the Seine. You arranged for my father to win the lottery, right? The company that doesn't want to disclose its name should be the Saints Group, right? Actually, I should have noticed a long time ago. Which company sponsors the lottery without leaving a name? Isn't this a waste of money? The little witch analyzed the ins and outs. But in my heart, I was moved by what Lucas did. Let me ask, which woman can refuse a man who pampers her like this? Looking at the moved expression of the little witch, Lucas smiled and hugged him in his arms. The sunset, the riverside, plus the romantic atmosphere. Lucas gradually approached the little witch. No, there are too many people here. Give it to me. Lucas raised his finger and pointed to the distance and said softly, the clouds are misty. White's mist flew out from his fingertips. Suddenly, Paris was shrouded in thick white fog. Lucas, how can you use magic on vacation? Oh, my dear, now is not the time to care about these things. Besides, this is Paris, and the British Ministry of Magic has nothing to do with it. Lucas hugged the little witch tightly again and asked with a smile, is it all right now? Seeing that the other party did not speak, Lucas approached again. The sudden appearance of dense fog aroused the attention of the whole of Paris. Some people think it is a manifestation of God. Others thought it was a supernatural phenomenon. But more people feel that this is a gift to the romantic city. In the thick fog, many young couples embraced each other, underground in a park in the middle of a street in Paris. The French Ministry of Magic is in disarray. Wizards are no strangers to the mist outside. but the magic that enveloped the whole of Paris is still rare. Have you found out who is doing the magic? Louise asked her aura. Louise Perrin, Minister of Magic of France. This capable woman has a high prestige among French wizards. She and Headmaster Ola Maxim of Beauxbaden are the two most influential witches in contemporary France. But now, this charming female minister is frowning. Not yet. There's even worse news. Just now we detected many strange magical reactions in Paris. If there is no guess, there should be a large number of Saint members gathering in Paris. Boom! Lucas Grindelwald, what is this doing? Demonstrating at us? Louise slapped the table in front of her angrily. Thick fog that appears for no reason. And the unknown wizard who keeps entering Paris. The temper of the female minister gradually became violent. Jingle bell. The idiosyncratic phone on the table rang. There is only one telephone in the entire Ministry of Magic, and this phone is connected to the most powerful people in France. Hello, about the fog, we will deal with it shortly. Minister Orwell came from afar. Looking at the despondent Louise Perrin, she sneered in her heart. Just now, the other party was still laughing at them for the destruction of the German Ministry of Magic building. But how long has it been? The entire French Ministry of Magic fell into chaos. It has to be said that Lucas Grindelwald is really a scourge. Wait until the other party hangs up the phone, Orwell said in relief. Minister Perrin, calm down. Based on my experience in dealing with little Grindelwald for many years, this incident is not serious. It's not serious? Fortunately, it's just a thick fog. For the romantic French, most people can accept it. But what about fiend fire? Orwell's face was livid. I can't talk today, knowing that their Ministry of Magic building was destroyed by fiend fire. He also kept 3 sentences inseparable from Li Hua. Or is it a friend? Is it a good partner in the offensive and defensive alliance? Orwell took a deep breath and decided not to bother with the woman in front of him. I propose to send Aurors to maintain order in the Ministry of Magic, and if there are not enough people, I will bring some. Louise Perrin nodded in agreement and added, your people should go find Lucas Grindelwald. Our people saw him on the streets of Paris yesterday, but they lost it and haven't found him until now. This makes me very worried. Deliver orders as assistants depart. Louise and Orwell brought the topic back to Dumbledore. Neither of them understood. Wise and great Dumbledore. Why was it chosen to shelter Grindelwald's children? When I was young, I heard the older Aurors say that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were good friends. The two even formed a blood alliance when they were young, which is why Dumbledore has never stood up to Grindelwald before. It seems that with the help of Newt Scamander, the blood alliance was finally taken back. Orwell's voice echoed across the room. Hear these words from him. Louise Perrin seemed to understand Dumbledore's reasons for doing this, but she still felt that Dumbledore's move was too muddled. Even if he is as strong as Headmaster Dumbledore, he will grow old and be confused one day. Hear Louise's emotion. Orwell couldn't help nodding in agreement, accompanied by the orders of the Ministers of Magic of the 2 countries. The Aurors of both countries sprang into action. The staff of the Ministry of Magic, as well as the common wizards who came to the Ministry of Magic to deal with affairs, suddenly found out. Many Aurors appeared at the various entrances and exits. Principal, what's the matter? Fleur Delacour looked at the half-raised female Titan beside her. She accompanied the headmaster, Mrs. Maxim, to the Ministry of Magic to handle school-related affairs today. But the appearance of the Aurors as if facing a formidable enemy aroused her curiosity. Madame Maxim was also a little puzzled at first, but soon she remembered that she had received a message recently. It's okay, we'll go back after we've dealt with it. The rest has nothing to do with us. Fu Rong seemed to understand and nodded. Since the headmaster said there was no problem, she no longer worried. Go back to 737 and continue to communicate with the staff about school matters. Fu Rong was still a little curious about what made the Ministry of Magic attach so much importance to it. Fu Rong looked at her palm again. Since yesterday, she has sensed that there is something in the city center that attracts her. That's why she offered to come to the Ministry of Magic with the principal today. What is it? On the banks of the Seine. Lucas let go of his arms. There was a smirk on Hermione's flushed cheeks. Send me back. I'm tired today, and you're going to the French Ministry of Magic later. Are you sure you don't want to go with me? Hermione shook her head. I believe you can solve it. And if I go, you will have some worries in your heart. After saying that, Hermione turned and walked towards the hotel. When approaching the front of the hotel, the little witch turned to look at her boyfriend. In the past, my ideal was to grow up and work in the education industry so that I could spread my knowledge to others. When I came to the magic world, my ideal has not changed, but I need to spread more knowledge and I need to learn more. But now I have a new ideal. I want to become the minister of the Ministry of Magic. I want to change the status quo of the magic world. This is the decision I just made. Hermione proudly announced to her boyfriend. At the same time, I added a sentence in my heart. It is also a decision made for you. The little witch has been in the wizarding world for a year. Of course, she understands what kind of organization the saints and voodoo parties are. Therefore, she is such a great ideal. Lucas looked at each other with a smile and said, I believe you can do it. Watching Hermione enter the hotel, Lucas turned and walked towards the French Ministry of Magic. Just as he entered the underground hall through the entrance, suddenly, he heard someone calling his name behind him. Turn around and look, Lucas said in surprise. Why are you? 088. Autumn Zhang. The Saints are attacking the Ministry of Magic again? Kneeling to customize. Lucas never expected to meet Cho Chang in a foreign country. Long time no see. Why did you come to France? The Ministry of Magic asked my mother to come to France to pick up some jobs. I'm bored at home, so I came to have a look. By the way, I haven't had time to congratulate you. Congratulations on the opening of your store. I just arrived in France that day, so I couldn't go to congratulate you. I'm really sorry. I haven't seen you in over a month. Qiu Zhang felt that the blonde boy in front of him became more fascinating than before. In fact, she didn't come because she was bored. She just learned from Hermione that their family is going to travel to France. Only then did he beg his mother to bring him along. It's just that she didn't expect that she and Lucas were so predestined. In a foreign country, both of them can meet by chance. This fate is really wonderful. When Lucas heard the other party's explanation, he remembered that Qiu Zhang's mother worked in the Ministry of Magic. Thank you for your blessing. Do you want to go in together? At this time, the two had followed the crowd to the wand registration office. Although the country is different, but the rules are the same, any wizard visiting the Ministry of Magic needs to register their wand. Originally, Qiu Zhang didn't intend to go in, but if Lucas invites, it's different. At the same time, Louise Perrin and Orwell also received news from the Aurors. What? Lucas Grindelwald in the lobby. What are you all doing to eat? You didn't find out until everyone was at the door. Louise had never felt that the wizards under her command were so incapable of doing things before. Notify everyone to gather in the front hall immediately. Wait until the assistant leaves. Louise Perrin extended an invitation to Orwell. Come on, let's meet this little Mr. Grindelwald. Inside the Ministry of Magic, the wizards coming and going watched curiously as groups of Aurors ran towards the elevator. Just now, he still looked like he was waiting for the battle. Why did they all leave in a short while? Fu Rong, who was registering for school affairs, also discovered this, but she is more sensitive than others. She noticed that those Aurors were in a hurry, as if they were rushing somewhere. Furong, hurry up, we'll leave right away when we're done. Seeing Mrs. Maxim frowning slightly, Fu Rong knew that her guess was not wrong. On the 5th floor underground, Louise and Orwell walked towards the exit hand in hand. On the next floor, 2 people can reach the front hall. Watching the Aurors passing by in a hurry, Louise finally showed her first smile of the day. Boom! A cluster of dazzling flames appeared in front of the 2 of them. Dumbledore and Fawkes the Phoenix appear with the firelight. Like a prophet, this old fox suddenly appeared in France. No one knows exactly when he came, let alone how long he has been here. Oh, Minister Perrin, Minister Orwell, long time no see, Headmaster Dumbledore. The old bee took out the candy from his pocket and handed it to the 2. It has almost become a habit of his. As long as you talk about things with people, you must first give each other love candy. What a busy Ministry of Magic. Dumbledore turned his gaze to the aura running past. Say something meaningful. However, is it too much to treat a child like this? Principal Dumbledore, we are only taking necessary measures. I think such vigilance is necessary. If outsiders know the boy's surname, it is very possible that he will be attacked with a killing curse while walking on the road. And we did this to protect his personal safety. Orwell's words were affirmed by Louise Perrin. The three of them walked towards the door leading to the front hall while talking. Mr. and Miss, this is not a place to talk about love. This is the Ministry of Magic. If you don't go in, please don't delay the people in line behind. The wizard at the wand registry said impatiently. These two little wizards have delayed his work too much. After hearing the other party's words, Qiu Zhang blushed slightly and hurriedly took out his wand. Lucas politely apologized to the other party. I'm really sorry. I met a friend in a foreign land, and I couldn't help but chat a few more words. This is our magic wand. Please register it. At this moment, there was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. It was as if there were hundreds of people walking together. Qiu Zhang turned around curiously. I saw that the people who were queuing up behind me had disappeared. Now, behind her stands a charming lady in the latest pointed hat. After that, there was a group of people who were not very talkative, and these people densely filled the entire front hall. Qiu Zhang hurriedly turned his head, nervously said to Lucas beside him, "Let's go in quickly. Those people behind look a little scary." After saying that, Cho Zhang urged the wizard in charge of registering the wand. The sorcerer was obviously also intimidated by the aura of the group in front of him. Wait until you see the look of that charming lady glancing at you. The wizard hurried back to his senses. Well, lady, here is your wand. Looking at Qiu Zhang's worried eyes, Lucas said softly, "You go in first, I'll be right there." Cho Chang walked through the registration desk step by step, passed through the gate behind, and successfully entered the French Ministry of Magic. What appeared in front of her was an indoor plaza. But at this moment, the square was full of people. Their expressions were solemn, as if they were waiting for someone to arrive. Qiu Zhang looked at the three people standing at the front again. He caught sight of Headmaster Dumbledore standing on the left at a glance. Why is the headmaster in France? Perhaps he sensed her gaze. Dumbledore shot her a smile. Qiu, why did you come to Mom quickly? Cho Chang's mother hurried to the door and pulled her daughter into the crowd. Mom, what happened? I don't know, but it must be serious. Wand registry. Lucas' wand was finally registered. Thank you politely. He walked towards the door behind him. Vita Rothier came to the registration office, raised her wand, and asked, "Do you need me to hand you my wand?" No, no need. Thanks. After Vita finished speaking, he led the members of the Saints to catch up with Lucas. When Lucas walked through the gate first, the French Ministry of Magic is on the verge of a formidable enemy. No way. It was Lucas and his Saints who made too much noise. Luca, Cho Chang wanted to ask Lucas to come to him. But before he finished speaking, his mother covered his mouth. Soon, she understood why her mother looked nervous. Behind Lucas, many people appeared one after another, including that charming lady she saw earlier. These people all stepped through the gate and stood behind Lucas, although there are only a few hundred people. But in terms of momentum, it overwhelmed hundreds of wizards in the square. For wizards in France, Grindelwald and Saints are just like the British wizarding world mentioning Voldemort. Did the wizards of France hate the Saints? The answer is yes, but they're also full of fear of the Saints. Pat clack. The blond boy led his men towards Dumbledore and the three of them. Mr. Principal, I am really sorry for making you go all the way here. Minister Perrin, nice to meet you. First time meeting. My name is Lucas Grindelwald. Lucas first greeted the two of them. Then he looked at Orwell, who was left alone. Oh, Minister Orwell, I haven't seen you for a few months. I'm so glad to see you in good health. How is it? Is the Ministry of Magic building ready? Don't bother, Mr. Grindelwald. Our building has been rebuilt, and it's even better than before. I really should thank the person who started the fire. Lucas was not angry because of the other party's yin and yang, but Orwell obviously didn't intend to let him go easily. Mr. Grindelwald really has a big show. He came to the court meeting and brought so many people to demonstrate. I think, Minister Orwell, you have misunderstood. I just brought someone here to be worthy of such a grand welcome ceremony. Seeing that Orwell was still planning to continue, Louise Perrin immediately stood up and interrupted. Mr. Grindelwald has worked hard all the way, and there is still some time before the court hearing. Why don't I show you around? I have this plan. So please trouble Minister Perrin, Mr. Principal. Do you want to go together? Certainly. Dumbledore stepped forward with a smile, and the two walked side by side towards the interior of the Ministry of Magic. Looking at the backs of the three Yoshua, Wang Hao, and Yu Xiao, Orwell snorted disdainfully, but finally followed. Cho Chang watched Lucas fade away, eyes full of curiosity about him. My dear girl, you have to remember, no matter whether you are at school or outside, you must stay away from that boy. Qiu Zhang obviously didn't intend to agree, but seeing her mother's concerned eyes, she nodded. But whether she will be really obedient, only she knows. The French Ministry of Magic is not much different from the English one. Departments are basically the same, but both the architecture and the decoration here are full of French style, except for important places. Lucas visited almost every place the French Ministry of Magic could go, until they came to the trial court where the next court session was about to start. Congratulations to the host for completing a new achievement, exploring the French Ministry of Magic. Rewards, 200 achievement points, a map of the French Ministry of Magic. One of the purposes of this trip was accomplished. Lucas and Dumbledore walked into the courtroom, talking and laughing. As for Wada and the others, they stayed outside and waited for news. Now I announce that the court proceedings concerning the seizure of 63 stores under the name of the Saints Investment Group in Germany and France will now begin, accompanied by the sound of a hammer being struck. Lucas also came to sit on the high-backed chair in the middle of the courtroom. 089. The refutation and accusation of righteous words. The cooperation of the old fox and the little fox. Kneeling to customize. Mage of the Supreme Wizarding Court of France. The status is equivalent to Mage, the chief magician of the Wisengamot in the British wizarding world. Every trial or court meeting, they're all hosted by the big magic mage. Mage, the devil of France this time, is none other than Minister Louise Perrin. Now, the representatives of the Ministry of Magic of the two countries will state the reasons for the closure of the 63 magic shops under the name of the Saint Investment Group. Louise's voice fell. The supreme jury, composed of 50 wizards, turned their attention to the representatives of the two countries below. Good afternoon, Mage, Perrin, and all the jurors. Next, I will explain the reasons for closing down the Saints Investment Group store. As we all know, the predecessor of the Saints Investment Group is the non-governmental organization Saints. Everyone here must be familiar with Saints. We have reason to suspect that the Saints Group is conducting illegal transactions, such as black magic or dangerous goods, through the disguise of the store. So, our two countries have sealed up 63 shops in the territory, out of consideration for the safety of the wizards of the two countries. The representatives of the two countries have finished speaking. The jury began to whisper. The impression of the Saints on the minds of these people could be described as very bad. That's why Lucas insisted on Dumbledore's presence. Because Dumbledore is great. Enough bang bang. Louise picked up the gavel and knocked it a few times, and calm was restored in the courtroom. The following is the opinion of Mr. Lucas Grindelwald, representative of Saints Investment Group. Number, the eyes of the audience immediately turned to the boy sitting on the chair in the middle, looking at the other party's immature age. Many older wizards looked puzzled. What about Vita Rothia? That proud French rose, their pride. Why didn't the traitor come? What about Abernathy? That cunning American wizard has been in charge of the business of the two countries. But what about others? Could it be that he is too timid to come to 860? They did not understand why the Saints would send child. Your Majesty Mage, good afternoon, fellow jurors. With regard to the baseless accusations made by the representatives of the two countries, I would like to emphasize 2 points. First, the Saints Group is committed to restoring friendly relations with the two countries. Our Saints Group is a compliant and legal excellent private enterprise. For the slander of the representatives of the two countries, our Saints Group will never admit it, and will resolutely ask the two countries to protest. Second, our Saints Group is a united and friendly private enterprise. We have also made outstanding contributions to the magic circles of the two countries over the years. Since the establishment of our Saints Group, we have donated a total of 100,000 galleons to the magic circles of the two countries, helping many difficult wizard families to solve their employment problems. I hope that Your Majesty Mage and the members of the jury can cancel our company's 63 stores in the 2 countries and compensate for 1 year's economic losses, totaling 800,000 galleons. After Lucas finished speaking, he handed over the donation materials he had brought. Upon seeing this, the representatives of the 2 countries retorted, "Protest! These donations from the Saints group all started within the last 2 years. They're just trying to escape the wizarding laws." Protest! Lucas slowly raised his right hand. Wait until everyone's eyes focus on him again. He looked at the representatives of the 2 countries. "This representative, you made groundless accusations against our company. I will file a complaint later. Your remarks have greatly damaged the image of our company. This is against morality and against the law. Your Majesty Mage and all the jurors, kindness should not be misinterpreted. Every donation from our Saints group can stand your verification. On the contrary, the representatives of the 2 countries have confused our company with a non-governmental organization Saints from the very beginning, just to interfere with your judgment. I admit that the predecessor of our company, Saints, did do a lot of wrong things decades ago. But over the years, our Saints investment group has shouldered the responsibilities of our predecessors and properly handled the affected families. We will support the elderly who have no children, and we will help families with financial difficulties in order to make up for past mistakes. Decades have passed, and the Saints at this moment are just a private enterprise. Retaining the name of the Saints is just a memory of the predecessors and a reminder to ourselves, reminding us not to repeat the same mistakes." Lucas made an impassioned speech. It not only made Louise Perrin and the 50 jury dumbfounded. Even Dumbledore stared dumbfounded at the blonde boy standing in the courtroom. The courtroom was silent. Everyone couldn't recover from Lucas' remarks for a while. Looking at the expressions of these people, Lucas was filled with disdain. In his previous life, he was the main player in the debate team of a prestigious university. Regarding these old antiques in the magic world, do you still want to discuss with him? Orwell had come in to listen. It can be seen that the representative he elected was speechless by Lucas. He glared at him angrily. Coincidentally, Louise Perrin did the same. The two then looked at each other. Louise nodded imperceptibly. Boom. Sophistry, sophistry. Lucas Grindelwald, don't try to get away with it. You led the Saints to burn down my German Ministry of Magic. What do you say? Looking at Orwell with a fierce face, Lucas' eyes were full of disdain and disgust. Slander, slander. This is an insult to me personally and to my colleagues. Lord Mage, I strongly protest. Please expel this irrelevant person. This, Louise hesitated. She didn't expect that Orwell didn't know how to restrain his temper at all. This is a court meeting. Such unsubstantiated accusations are very dangerous. But think of the rumors I heard recently. Louise felt relieved. It is said that wizards in Germany have been protesting recently, hoping that Orwell will step down. If today's result is Lucas Grindelwald wins, it didn't affect her much. But for Orwell's ministerial position, it could be said to be even worse. Lucas also recalled the information Vita told. For Orwell's current situation. Of course he knows it all. Lucas looked at Orwell, who was glaring at him. A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his lips. That being the case, Daba, just let him add a handful of firewood and wish Minister Orwell to step down as soon as possible. Your Excellency Mage, jurors, it is inevitable that some people will continue to have such misunderstandings in the future, and I will explain to you today. The building of the German Ministry of Magic was burned, and it has nothing to do with me or the Saints Investment Group. Headmaster Dumbledore at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry can attest to that, can't he, Mr. Headmaster? See, Lucas looked to himself. Dumbledore knew it was his turn to play next. Under the watchful eye of France's highest court of wizards, Albus Dumbledore walked over to Lucas. Yes, I and the professors at Hogwarts can attest that what Mr. Lucas said is true. And here I have a letter from Minister Fudge. The Saints Investment Group has since come to the magic world in England and promoted the prosperity of the magic world. This letter is full of Minister Fudge's praise to the Saints Investment Group, and I hope it can provide you with some reference. Finally, I would like to say a few words in my personal capacity. Decades have passed. Please let go of your prejudices and look at this matter objectively. In addition, those members of the saints in the past are now old, and most of them have even passed away. Don't you all still have the fear in your heart? Or what do you think such a child can do? Guys, Lucas is just a kid. Dumbledore's words got most of the jury thinking. They looked at Lucas, who was standing in front of the chair. Just happened to see Lucas frustrated. The lost eyes and the wet corners of the eyes. They all reminded everyone that standing in front of them was just a little wizard who had just turned 12 years old. The discussion in the trial court gradually became louder. Almost all of them are discussing with those close to them. Louise Perrin, who was sitting in a high position, listened to the discussions around her. I heard that many people agreed to lift the sealed state of the store. She was instantly anxious. Bang, bang. The gavel slammed down hard. The courtroom became quiet again. Due to the views of both parties and sufficient evidence, it is difficult for the jury to make a decision at the moment. I announce that the court session will be suspended and the jury's final decision will be awaited. The trial will resume early tomorrow morning. Lucas tried hard to maintain his lost mood. After politely saluting the members of the jury, he and Dumbledore exited the courtroom. Lucas, you don't seem to be worried about whether you can lift the seizure status at all. Because the victory is already decided, of course, there is no need to worry. The victory is set. Dumbledore looked suspiciously at the boy walking ahead. Think carefully about the process of the court meeting just now. I don't know where the winning point is. Lucas meets Vita. Immediately take people back to the hotel where they're staying. Just as they were about to walk into the front hall, a girl suddenly crashes into Lucas' arms, looking at the long silver hair like a waterfall and those blue eyes. Lucas immediately guessed the other party's identity. You are a student of Beauxbatons. He looked at the other party's school uniform and asked. Fu Rong nodded, looking at the boy in front of her in surprise. She should have left just now, but suddenly felt that the thing that attracted him was in the Ministry of Magic. So she made excuses and ran back. Fu Rong didn't understand why the boy younger than her was so attractive to her. Can you tell me your name? Of course, my name is Lucas Grindelwald, a Hogwarts first year and soon a second year. My name is Fleur Delacour, a Beauxbatons fifth grader. It really was her. Look at the obsession in each other's eyes. Lucas understood the reason after a little thought. His elven blood has an inexplicable attraction to all magical creatures. And Fleur Delacour has a quarter of Vila blood, so she should be affected by the blood. Furong, come here. A mixed-race female titan with a height of more than 3 meters suddenly appeared. She nodded to Lucas and forcibly took Fleur Delacour away from the Ministry of Magic. The next day, have a good night's sleep. Lucas came to the Ministry of Magic refreshed. Orwell was much more haggard than yesterday. He sat in the gallery like a frostbeaten eggplant. Looks like he didn't have a good time last night. Lucas chuckled and sat down on the chair in the middle of the courtroom. After a while, all 50 jury members arrived. Bang! The court session has resumed. 090. Push Orwell into the abyss, the old house of the Lake family. Kneeling to customize. Jury, after one night's deliberation, have you reached a final decision? Hear Louise Perrin's inquiry. The 49 jury wizards all focus their attention on an elderly man. Just look at the appearance. The old man should have an advanced age of over 80 years old. This was someone Lucas knew, or rather the wizarding world knew him. Quite a few. France's new minister for magic, Sean Hope. Lucas frowned, not expecting this guy to come. Sean Hope was the leader of the rebellion against Grindelwald. After our Supreme Wizarding Court voted to revoke the state of seizure of stores under the name of Saint Investment Group by Germany and France. The compensation of 800,000 galleons proposed by Lucas Grindelwald is rejected. But considering the huge economic losses of the 63 stores over the past year, the Ministry of Magic of Germany and France will compensate a total of 200,000 galleons. Sean Hope handed the parchment in his hand to the court assistant beside him. The other party will present their decision to the big demon mage. Lucas, who was sitting below, heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He thought the old man was here to make trouble. I didn't expect to just come out for a formality. Although I don't understand why Sean Hope helped himself. But as long as you win. Lucas looked at Orwell in the gallery at this moment. The other party's face was extremely ugly. He has been preaching in Germany that Lucas and the Saints are heinous. But now the criminal in his mouth has won the court hearing, and he is about to take away 100,000 galleons in compensation from him, if it is known by the wizards in Germany. The position of Orwell's minister is probably hanging. No, it should be said that he has now entered the countdown to step down. Lucas stood up and thanked the jury around him. Thank you for your righteous words. I hereby assure you that as long as I am here, the Saints group will redouble their efforts to contribute to the future of the French magic community. With his guarantee, some of the younger wizards present looked satisfied. Orwell stood up reluctantly at this moment. Everyone, I swear to Merlin, this guy is not as simple as he appears on the surface. Please think again seriously. He is Grindelwald. Minister Orwell, when you and I exchanged views on this issue, you said at the time that our French higher normal court would make the decision. You will not interfere in any form with the result, but what do you mean by your statement now? Do you want to go back on your word? The speaker was the French Ministry of Magic, Director of Magical Law Enforcement. As the most powerful department, the director's words carry a lot of weight. Seeing this, Orwell looked towards the highest position in the courtroom. What can be exchanged is Louise Perrin's ignorance. The tide is gone. These 4 words flashed in his mind, then sat down on the chair decadently. Louise Perrin got up and re-announced the resolution of the Supreme Wizarding Court of France. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. Tongue Fighting Heroes. Reward: 500 achievement points. The court session is over. Members of the Supreme Wizarding Court began to exit. Lucas did not leave, but greeted every wizard who left, thanking each other for their fair resolution. Elegant, humble attitude won the favor of everyone, including Louise Perrin. Lucas all stepped forward to express their gratitude to each other. Wait until everyone leaves. The director of legal enforcement, David Fielding, came before Lucas. Mr. Grindelwald, thank you for donating 100,000 galleons to the French Foundation for Magical Orphans. I should thank Director Fielding. Thank you for giving me such an opportunity. The Saints group has always been a strong supporter of charity. Not long ago, members of the Saints found out some information about this Fielding. As the chief director of the Department of Legal Enforcement of the Ministry of Magic, he actually set up a foundation in spite of his busy schedule. Learned about the worrying financial situation of the foundation. Lucas immediately sent 100,000 galleons to the other party. That's why Lucas said yesterday that the victory is sealed. As long as he impresses the jury first, Director Fielding will naturally help with the rest. By the way, Director Fielding, how is Minister Hood doing today? I invited him here. Although my uncle has retired for many years, his prestige is still there. He also asked me to tell you that after decades have passed, don't mention the past as long as you sincerely do things for the magic world in the future. Unexpectedly, there was such a relationship between the two. No wonder Fielding has such a strong say in the French Ministry of Magic. You really can't tell what you look like. 5 days have passed since the court session, except that Lucas accompanied Hermione and Cho Chang in Paris these days. The rest of the time was spent in contact with the French families. Thanks to his good impression in the Inquisition, no one has yet refused his door. Vita, Aunt, is the German 100,000 galleons coming? Not yet. Lucas threw the newspaper on the table. On the front page was a photo of Orwell walking out of the German Ministry of Magic. 100,000 galleons became the straw that broke the camel's back. Just 5 days. The German wizards cast 90% of the votes in favor, driving Orwell out of office. Vita, Aunt, if I invite Orwell to work in our Saints group, would he be willing? Vita chuckled and said, I guess he would rather die than be willing. TSK, what a pity. The reason why Lucas would say such a thing, it was entirely because when Orwell stepped down, the system rewarded him with 100 achievement points, said to be the reward for the defeat a strong enemy achievement. But this powerful enemy is only worth 100 points, which is not worth much. This time, Lucas received 200,000 galleons in compensation from the two countries. But he was not very happy. Lucas donated a total of 80,000 galleons of various materials to the two countries in the past 2 years. This time, in order to secure the chance of winning, Another 100,000 galleons was donated to Director Fielding's foundation. He planned to take advantage of this incident, and the lion opened his mouth. Even if it is less than 800,000, 500,000, or even 300,000 is good. 0 for flowers. Unexpectedly, the old guy Sean Hope only gave him 200,000 galleons as compensation. The other party probably wants to tell Lucas that they will not owe each other from now on. Sean Hope, it's really not easy. At this moment, the door was suddenly opened. Abernathy walked in hurriedly. More than 60 shops have reopened, and the people under him are so busy that you are still chatting here. Abernathy, uncle, haven't I already handed over the business of the 2 countries to the Caro family? Why do you bother to worry about it? Abernathy was going to retort a few words. But before the words were spoken, 100,000 galleons from the German Ministry of Magic arrived. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, the 7-day tour of France will come to an end. The Grangers are having a great time these days. On the way back, Lucas also took the plane with them. To be honest, Lucas had never flown a plane in his life. After the experience, I suddenly felt that the door key was more convenient. Wait until he gets back to his Wiltshire estate. It was already the time when the sun was setting and the earth was about to fall into darkness. The next day, Lucas arrived at Malfoy Manor early in the morning. Saw Delacour playing with Crabbe and Goyle in the yard. Without saying a word, he went up and knocked the opponent unconscious and resisted walking away. Crabbe and Goyle watched Delacour being led out of the manor, dumbfounded. Wait until Delacour wakes up from the coma. Saw Lucas breaking a spell on a building. Is this Grimmauld Place? Oh, you actually know each other? That would be much easier. At this time, the old house of Bow Lake has shown its true appearance. Just look at the appearance. No one will believe it. It was a dilapidated house with dirty windows. It will be the mansion of the oldest and most noble pure-blood family in the wizarding world, the Lake family. Lucas, what are you doing here? Find something. Lucas gripped the silver, twisting serpent handle, accompanied by the unlocking curse. The Bow Lake family, which has been dusty for many years, finally welcomes a new visitor. Huh, the inside is much cleaner than the outside. Didn't Mom say that there are no people in the Bow Lake family? Look at the clean and tidy interior furnishings. Della Branch was very surprised. Lucas glanced at him like a fool. Although the people of the Lake family haven't come back for a long time, there are still portraits and house elves here. What kind of eyes do you have? I haven't blamed you for knocking me out yet. He ignored Della, who was shouting behind him. Lucas stepped into the long hallway. Because of the traceless stretching spell, the mansion of the Lake family is very large. Just as Lucas was about to find the target of this trip, an old, deep voice suddenly came from a dark corner in the distance. Oh, Master Malfoy, you are welcome. Del Lake hurriedly turned his head and looked towards the corner under the dim light. I saw a house elf standing in the corner of the corridor watching the two of them knife. 091. The useless Della Branch, the promise with the Bow Lake family, kneeling to customize. Really, the Malfoy boy and an elf broke into the mistress's house, and the mistress would be very angry if she found out. Hear the whims of the house elf creature. Della asked displeased, what are you talking about? Creature didn't say anything. Creature was welcoming Master Malfoy. Della glared at the cunning creature, then looked at Lucas puzzled. What are you looking for? Mom never let me come here. She said Mrs. Bow Lake hates being disturbed by others. What do you mean by elves? I found it. Lucas looked at Creature with glowing eyes. Creature, let me ask you, do you have a heavy locket that cannot be opened? Creature stared at Lucas in horror. Then, with a snap of the fingers, it disappeared. Della Branch. Della Branch immediately understood what Lucas meant. Being half of the Lake family, he immediately called out to the empty room. Creature, come to me right now. Snapped. There was a soft sound. Creature appeared in front of the two again. Creature reappeared despite the order, but he never looked at the two of them. 443. Creature, I believe you have also seen my identity. I can help you destroy the locket. Let me help you. Creature looked at the blonde boy beside him. There was a hint of doubt in his eyes. It was probably thinking why this person would know what the little master ordered. After a few seconds, seeing that the other party still refused to speak, Della frowned immediately. It's better for me to come. I want to hang a pendant, right? See Lucas nod. Della Branch immediately issued an order. Creature, bring the locket immediately. Creature remained where he was. Seeing his trembling body, he seems to be resisting Della's orders. When the trembling stopped, Creature raised his head and said, "I'm sorry, Master Malfoy. You are not Creature's master, and Creature will not obey your orders." Della's face flushed with anger. If Lucas hadn't stopped him, he might have had a fight with Creature. Lucas looked at the other party with contempt. "Della Coe, why do you have platinum blonde hair? It would be nice if you had more black hair. Tisk, it's really useless." Well known. The hair color of most of the Lake family is black. My last name is Malfoy, not Bolake. What Della is most proud of is this platinum hair color. Even if Lucas is his best friend, he doesn't allow the other party to say that about himself. Lucas was just joking too. He came to Creature and knelt down. Looking at the house elf with determined eyes, he sighed. "Della Coe, please go out first." Huh? Della's face was full of reluctance. But seeing the eyes Lucas cast on him, he opened the door wisely and walked out. Wait until only Lucas and Creature are left in the mansion. Neither of them spoke. Creature brought Lucas into the living room, silently prepared a cup of coffee for him. Lucas, on the other hand, was wondering how to get the stubborn, elderly house elf to hand over the locket. Before coming here again, Lucas had a detailed understanding of the history of the Lake family. This is a family that advocates the supremacy of pure blood. It is also the oldest and noblest pure-blood family in England. The period of Voldemort. Those of House Lake take pride in serving the Dark Lord, because the Dark Lord, like them, advocated pure-bloodism. But who would have thought that there would be two outliers in the family? Sirius Blake, Harry's godfather, best friend of James Potter. He is rebellious and pursues freedom. From the bottom of his heart, he loathes the pure-blood ideas of the Lake family. After graduating from Hogwarts, he resolutely joined the Order of the Phoenix. Join your friends in the vanguard against Voldemort. If you're a friend, you can completely trust Sirius. But if it starts from the interests of the family, Sirius' behavior almost ruined the Lake family with a long history. Just imagine when Voldemort found out that the Lake family actually fell into the arms of the old bee. With his crazy character in the later stage, I am afraid that he will lead people to destroy the Lake family immediately. And why he didn't? It was because of one person, Regulus Arcturus Blake, Sirius' younger brother. In the eyes of Sirius, that one is timid and cowardly. The useless younger brother who always follows behind him. Regulus joined the Death Eaters at the age of 16 and quickly became someone Voldemort trusted. It is also because of him that the Blake family can be preserved. Regulus Blake, Creature suddenly looked up at Lucas. Hearing this name, its eyes showed sadness and guilt. Regulus was a kind man, and he never regarded the house elves as slaves, but as companions. Such Regulus won Creature's allegiance, regardless of whether he signed a contract or not. As for guilt, probably because Creature has not completed the task assigned by the Little Master so far. To the Dark Lord, I know I'm dead when you read this, but I want you to know I was the one who discovered your secret. And I have taken the real Horcrux and will destroy it as soon as possible. I'd risk my life because you're only a mortal man of flesh and blood when you hit your opponent. RABU, how do you know? Creature looked at the elf in front of him in surprise. No one should know about these things. Lucas took a deep breath and said softly to Creature, "How about we make a deal? At this time a year later, I will bring back your little master Regulus and his locket. At that time, will you hand over the real locket?" Creature became a little anxious. It starts to become incoherent. But poison and monsters, they're impossible. Creature, a proud, indifferent voice suddenly sounded. Lucas saw a noble woman added to the wall portrait. Presumably, she is Mrs. Bolake. Young little wizard, if you can really bring Regulus back, I will agree to your request, and the Lake family will never forget your kindness. Madame Lake's eyes were full of sadness. Although she is just a portrait now, but she is a portrait with the memory of Mrs. Blake. Zero, she will also be sad and sad for her favorite young son. Creature bowed to the portrait. "Yes, mistress." Looking at the old Blake house that is slowly disappearing behind him, there was a wave in Lucas' eyes. He was disgusted with Sirius. very disgusted. Maybe it's because the other party's actions are not in line with Lucas' philosophy. When Sirius was pursuing freedom and taking risks with his friends, it was his stupid and timid younger brother who took up the responsibility and future of the family. On July 31st, 1980, Sirius was smug as he became godfather. The cowardly and useless younger brother in his eyes stayed forever in that cold, damp cave full of corpses in order to fight against Voldemort. Think of Sirius Black who will escape from Azkaban next year. Lucas sneered. I hope the other party will not fall into his hands. Lucas, are you done? Looking back at Della, who beside him, he nodded slightly. Almost, although the time is a bit rushed, but it shouldn't be a big problem. Ambiguous answer. Jean Della frowned, but soon he put it behind him. By the way, Father asked me to thank you that the misuse of Muggle Artifact Division were actually searching wizarding homes recently. It's a good thing you reminded me in time. Oh, nasty Weasley. They must be up to something. Seeing Della's disgusted expression, Lucas just smiled and didn't express his opinion. Wait until the two return to Wiltshire. Della, who suddenly said, Don't worry, today's matter, I will keep it a secret for you, including my parents. Although I don't know what you want to do, but I believe in you, my best friend. Looking at the platinum boy who walked into Malfoy Manor, Lucas chuckled. This guy's finally grown up. The following days, Lucas had a relaxed and comfortable life. It would be better if the Della branch came a few times a day, and it will be more perfect if you don't bring two idiots like 3.2 Roshan every time you come. It's been like this for 2 weeks. Hogwarts Owls bring the new school year's book list. Breaking with the Ghost by Gilderoy Lockhart. Walking with Ghouls by Gilderoy Lockhart. Holidays with Hags by Gilderoy Lockhart. Looking at a long list of books, all Gilderoy's novels. Lucas frowned. Vita Ant. Wait until Vita pushed the door and came in front of him. He handed the envelope in his hand to the other party. Get a set of stupid Gilderoy's books from our bookstore. Oh, Merlin, Dumbledore is crazy. He had just finished speaking. Astia brought Hermione's letter. Coincidentally, Qiu Zhang also sent a letter from his own owl at the same time. Looking at the contents of the two letters are exactly the same. Lucas frowned slightly, not knowing what the two little witches meant. But just go shopping in Diagon Alley. He has no opinion. He wrote letters to both of them. Look through the books on the internet. It's just that the title of this book looks creepy. The cruelest black magic in a magic world for thousands of years. 092. Encounter in Nocturne Alley. Riddle's diary appears. Kneeling to customize. There is still a week until Hogwarts starts. Lucas left the manor early in the morning. Go to Nocturne Alley. The purpose of his coming here, it was to find the ginger Persian long-hair cat in the original book for Hermione. He has ordered people to prepare for this matter for a long time. Coincidentally, the news came yesterday. The reason why Lucas was looking for Crookshanks. Except for Hermione. I also hope that the cat will find trouble with the stinky mouse in Ron's hand. Verified by members of the Saints. Crookshanks does have the cat raccoon bloodline, and extremely sensitive to animagus. At the same time, the Weasley family, who live in the borough, are also going shopping in Diagon Alley. Flu is a new experience for Harry, but when Green's fire carried heat into his throat, Harry suddenly felt bad. Before he could regret it, Flu Network sent him to an unknown place. Looking at the eerie environment around, Harry quickly picked up the glasses that had fallen aside. Oh, Mr. Malfoy, welcome again. A warm smile appeared on Mr. Boken's face. This is not the first time Lucius Malfoy has visited. In fact, Mr. Malfoy had been here once in the last week. Mr. Bougin, please see how many galleons these are worth. Lucius Malfoy placed an exquisite box on the counter. Because Lucas revealed the news in advance. The Malfoys don't deal with dangerous goods as hastily as in the original book. At this moment, the poison in his hand is already the last batch in the family. Items that are valuable and cannot be destroyed or sold have been deposited in the family coffers. As for the last piece, Lucius Malfoy looked at the black leather diary inside the wizard's robe. This was something that Voldemort had entrusted to him for safekeeping. Lucius never understood why he was asked to guard a diary with his life, but feel the strong black magic atmosphere. He could guess that this diary must be very important to Voldemort. But this diary cannot be left behind. But how to deal with it? Lucius Malfoy felt very headache. Why don't you give it to Dumbledore? Such thoughts flashed through his mind quickly. Just as he was hesitating, he suddenly heard the scream of his son behind him. Delacoe, what are you doing? Delacoe's hand was being held by Harry at the moment. Seeing the gesture in his friend's eyes, Delacoe shook his head immediately and said, I'm very good, father. I was just shocked. Mr. Boken glanced at Delacoe. Then he said in a greasy tone, Oh, that is the hand of glory. As long as you put a candle on that hand, the candlelight will only illuminate the person holding the hand. This is a good helper for thieves and robbers. Does Master Malfoy like it? It only costs 20 galleons. Without waiting for Della to reply, Lucius said in a haughty tone, Mr. Boken, do you want my son to be a thief or a robber in the future? Sorry, Mr. Malfoy. I didn't mean that. Mr. Bourgin hurriedly put away the box and the poison and turned to Gabon, France. Lucius Malfoy doesn't seem to be planning to let his son go. He looked at the other party coldly and continued. But what Mr. Bourgin said is reasonable. With his achievements, he may be able to use this glorious hand in the future. Delacoe looked helpless. Throughout the summer, his father kept bringing up the subject of grades. 10 galleons were charged. Malfoy walked out of the Borgenberg store with his son. Della was still a little worried before going out. This wasn't Diagon Alley, and I wondered if Harry would be all right. Around the corner across from the Bokenberg store, Lucas stroked Crookshank's head. This big, shaggy cat purrs comfortably, looking at the Malfoy father and son who were gradually going away. Lucas' eyes flickered on and off. He was thinking about how to get Riddle's diary from the other party. According to the Saints' survey, the Black Journal was not among the dangerous goods disposed of by the Malfoy family during this time. It means that the Horcrux is still with Malfoy. In the original book, Lucius Malfoy mocked the Weasley family, mixed the diary into Ginny Weasley's used book. But now look at the direction the other party is leaving. It doesn't seem to be going to Diagon Alley, but it seems to be going back to Wiltshire. This is not acceptable. Lucas immediately took a shortcut and rushed in front of the Malfoys. Lucas? Why are you here? He looked at the blonde boy walking towards him. Mr. Malfoy frowned subconsciously. When he thought of the identity of the other party, his brows stretched again. Lucius' uncle, Delabranche. I'm here to fetch 2 little pets. After Lucas finished speaking, he gestured to the 2 of the cat in his arms and the little swan in the cage. The little swan is a gift for Qiu Zhang. The little guy can only grow to the size of a volleyball at best, usually neither barking nor making trouble. But if the owner is in danger, the little swan will make a loud cry. As for how loud it is, according to his subordinates, the little guy's cry. Most of Hogwarts should be able to hear it. Introduced the purpose of his visit. Lucas pretended to be concerned and asked, Lucius, uncle, have you taken care of those things at home? Mr. Malfoy raised his eyebrows. Don't worry, today is the last batch. That's good. Some of my uncles have been raided by the Ministry of Magic recently, and they even had conflicts with people from the Ministry of Magic. Lucas showed a helpless expression. I need to go to Mr. Arthur Weasley to apologize later. It's too bad. I'm still a student. Weasley? Is he coming too? That's right. I saw their family in Diagon Alley just now, and they seem to be buying things for the family to go to school. Speaking of which, Gilderoy Lockhart will hold a book signing event at Lehan Bookstore today. Shall we go and see it together later? No. Mr. Malfoy shook his head and refused. I still have something to do with Della. Excuse me. Lucas stroked the fat cat in his arms, watching Malfoy and his son walking towards Diagon Alley. Son, are you lost? Come to me. I can help you find your way home. An old woman with a wrinkled face appeared next to Lucas. Seeing the other party's dirty palm reaching out to him, Lucas immediately staggered to the side. Immediately afterwards, he kept walking towards another road leading to Diagon Alley, until Lucas walks away. The people around looked at the old woman who was standing still, see each other's pale, bloodless skin. There was an exclamation from the crowd. Killing curse. That boy killed old Mary. Heard someone using the unforgivable curse. The crowd scattered and fled. Even in places like Nocturne Alley, the unforgivable curse is also taboo. Harry. The sound startled the crowd surrounding Harry. Seeing Lucas, Harry hastily parted from the crowd and walked behind him. Thank God. I finally met someone I know. Lucas, where's this place? Nocturne Alley. After Lucas answered, he looked at the villains around him. Although everyone does not know the identity of Lucas, but you can see each other around here from time to time. Every time someone wanted to trouble the blonde boy. Without exception, it never happened again. So the crowd tactfully scattered around. Lucas looked at Harry beside him. I saw soot all over the other party's body. Even the glasses had a lens shattered. Restored as before. Cleaned up. With a wave of Black's wand. Harry's glasses were repaired immediately, and his clothes became clean and tidy. Harry, you should really learn the restoring charm. It will be very useful for you. I thought so too, by the way. Can you take me to Ron? Lucas nodded, turned around, and walked out with his savior classmate. If it wasn't for seeing Harry, Lucas almost forgot that the other party entered Borgenbach by mistake. Soon, Harry walked out of Nocturne Alley under the leadership of Lucas. Looking at the familiar surroundings, Harry silently breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Hermione's voice came from afar. See the little witch running out of the magic pet shop. Lucas was lucky to have prepared Crookshanks as a gift for the other party. Oh, what a cute cat. Do you like it? This is a gift for you. It may have extraordinary abilities, but it is a little grumpy. Hermione lifted Crookshanks into her arms. One person and one cat stared at each other for a few seconds. I like it. It will be called Crookshanks from now on. Really. This cat and this name were really meant to be. Harry looked at the two with sweet eyes and refused to disturb them. But he had to find the Weasleys right away. So he said apologetically, "Sorry, can you tell me where Ron is?" "Mr. Weasley?" Hermione seemed to remember meeting them somewhere. She turned to look at the Lehan bookstore not far away. There, Gilderoy Lockhart has a book signing meeting today, and they all attended it. Looking at the little witch with a flat expression, Lucas was slightly surprised. That's right, Hermione should be a loyal reader of Gilderoy. I saw the look in my boyfriend's eyes. Hermione immediately understood what the other person meant. I did read his book, but I found that his book has a lot of loopholes. Obviously, the last book is still with vampires. But in the next book at the same time, he goes to spend time with werewolves. I think Lockhart is a fake liar, have to say. The little witch's intuition is very accurate. Lucas smiled and looked towards Lehan bookstore, just in time to see Malfoy and his son walking to the door. As the top family in the magic world, when did Malfoy go to a bookstore and buy a book by himself? So there is only one possibility. Lucius Malfoy intended to plant the diary on Weasley's head as in the original book. At this time, Qiu Zhang just came to meet him. She smiled happily when she received the gift from Lucas. Although Hermione was a little unhappy, she didn't say anything. Lucas breathed a sigh of relief when he noticed. Let's go. Let's also go to Lehan bookstore to have a look. If there is a good response to the book signing, I will also hold one in my own bookstore. Hermione rolled her eyes after hearing this. Why is Lehan bookstore like this? Isn't it because of your bookstore? While speaking, several people had already arrived at the entrance of Lehan bookstore. 093. Signing event, Quarrel Fight. Kneeling to customize. Gilderoy Lockhart. Signed autobiography, I Can Be Magic for sale time. Above the Lehan bookstore, there is an incomparably huge slogan floating. Every character has a body shape similar to that of an adult. This ensures that all wizards in Diagon Alley can see it. Judging by the overcrowded appearance of the bookstore, this slogan should have made a lot of contributions. Sorry, excuse me. Most of the bookstores are women, and most of them are housewives. They are all loyal fans of Gilderoy. Oh, Merlin. Hermione tapped her forehead suddenly. Then he lowered his head. Lucas looked over curiously and saw the Grangers standing in the front row at a glance. The two seemed very interested in Gilderoy Lockhart's book. Hearing the laughter beside her, Hermione looked at her boyfriend angrily. My dear, you have to admit that Gilderoy is very popular among middle-aged people. Lucas, I saw Mr. Weasley. I'll go first. Thank you for your help. Harry said suddenly at this moment. Watching the savior classmates squeeze into the crowd, Lucas always felt that he hadn't seen each other for a while, and the other party became more impetuous than before. Lucas took Hermione and Qiu Zhang up to the second floor, crowded compared to the first floor. The space on the second floor seemed much empty. You guys are here. Come here quickly. You can see more clearly from here. Della couldn't know when he appeared on the second floor. He was standing directly above Gilderoy's signing table. Several people chatted a few words while leaning against the railing. A commotion was heard from below. "Out of the way, this is a photo shoot for the Daily Prophet." A short reporter yelled into the crowd. Gilderoy turned to look at the camera, frowning suddenly. A few seconds passed. He suddenly realized, Merlin, isn't this Harry Potter? The crowd followed Gilderoy's gaze. Immediately noticed our savior classmate. Harry was still a little embarrassed at the moment. Although the glasses and clothes are sorted by Lucas, but there's still a lot of Black's chimney ashes on his face. Ron didn't see his friend's distress. He excitedly pushed Harry and said, "Gilderoy wants to take a photo with you. Hurry up, my good friend." He said this very loudly. It seemed that he wanted to tell everyone that he was a good friend of Harry Potter. Really, the crowd began to murmur, and some gave Ron envious looks. The second floor of the bookstore. Della frowned and said, "What does he use Harry for? A tool to show off to others. Whether it's Lucas or Hermione and Qiu Zhang, they all understand who the he Delacoe refers to is." Watching Ron Weasley smug is really annoying. Facing Gilderoy's invitation, Harry bit the bullet and walked towards the other party under everyone's gaze. The flash on a magic camera stung his eyes. In order to avoid the flash, Harry couldn't help but look up. I happened to see Lucas and Della on the second floor. Now, Harry felt like a monkey in a zoo. His cheeks suddenly felt hot. "Hey, Lucas, Della Coya." Everyone followed Harry's gaze to the second floor. When seeing two elegant teenagers, the crowd's discussion became more intense. Sir Lucas Grindelwald. "Merlin, I still remember the unprecedented grand occasion some time ago. But why did Mr. Grindelwald come to Lehan Bookstore? Doesn't he own a bookstore?" Lucas has been in the limelight recently in the British wizarding world. Just as expected, the young appearance had an unexpected chemical reaction with the behind-the-scenes bosses of 15 shops. Even after so long, people still talk about it after dinner, especially after learning about the generous treatment of the Saints Investment Group. Now, many people want to go to seek a job. Good morning, everyone. Today is Mr. Lockhart's signing event. Please support us. Gilderoy Lockhart was a little unhappy at first. Think Lucas upstaged himself by showing up. But after hearing what the other party said, a confident smile appeared on his face again. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Grindelwald. Would you like to take a group photo?" "Sorry, I have other things to do. Wish your autobiography Continental." After Lucas finished speaking, he left the railing on the second floor because he had noticed that Mr. Malfoy appeared at the door of the bookstore. If there is no accident, he'll be messing with the Weasleys in a bit. Lucius Malfoy did have such thoughts at the moment, for the black leather diary in his hand. He hadn't made up his mind what to do with it, wanted to give it to Dumbledore, but was afraid of being blamed by Voldemort. But just now, he learned from Lucas that the Weasley family had also come to Diagon Alley. Malfoy had been feuding with Weasley for a long time. So Lucius Malfoy immediately had a good plan for what to do with the diary. If successful, Arthur Weasley's days ahead may not be easy. Come to think of it, the head of the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts Division at the Ministry of Magic, the main person in charge of this surprise inspection. What would happen if black magic hazards appeared in his home? Lucius feels excited just thinking about it now. "Lucius, uncle, why are you standing here?" Hear Lucas' voice behind him. Mr. Malfoy immediately suppressed his smile. "Well, it's nothing. I'm just observing. If our bookstore also holds a signing event like this, will it attract so many people?" Although he knew that the other party was pretending. But Lucas is still willing to cooperate. At this time, Harry had already had his picture taken with Gilderoy Lockhart. Wait until after the camera's shutter is pressed. Lockhart politely chucked him off. Harry looked at the complete set of Lockhart books in his hand and smiled wryly. "Oh, Harry, you've got a complete set of books signed by Lockhart." Looking at Ron with envious eyes, Harry sent the book to the other party's arms. "Since you like it, I will give it to you, and I will buy it myself. Really, is it okay?" Seeing Harry nod, Ron immediately smiled joyfully. If it wasn't for the location not being allowed, he would have wanted to shout a few words loudly. "Poor Weasley, are you so happy to just get a set of signed books?" The characteristic Malfoy tone caught the attention of the Weasleys. Harry watched Delacoe approaching from a distance and immediately greeted each other. "Delacoe, long time no see. It's been a long time indeed. The famous Mr. Harry Potter. Looking at strange friends, there was confusion in Harry's eyes. Before he could ask the other party what was going on, I saw Mr. Malfoy walking behind Delaco. Mr. Malfoy, who had treated him very well in Malfoy manner. It was as if he didn't know him at the moment. Harry turned to look at Ron, ready to complain to him. But they saw that the Weasley family was looking at Malfoy and his son warily. Harry instantly understood the reason for Delacole's and Mr. Malfoy's change of attitude. They probably don't want to be caught between the two. At this time, Arthur Weasley came from afar. Lucius! Mr. Weasley called out the name of the man in front of him coldly. Mr. Malfoy sneered slightly. I heard that you're very busy recently, busy searching everywhere. You work so hard. Why didn't the Ministry of Magic give you an extra salary? After speaking, he came to the Weasley family. Reached for a few secondhand books from Ginny Weasley's cauldron. What a poor child, who is clearly a freshman in the first grade, but has to use these old books. Mr. Malfoy opened it casually and looked at it, then throw the book back into the crucible. No one noticed that there was a black-covered diary among the lost books. And Lucas, who has been paying attention to it all the time, has a bright spot in his eyes. Finally, it appeared, Riddle's diary. Hey, Arthur Weasley, what's the use of being the scum of wizards if you can't even get enough food and clothing to live on? Mr. Malfoy was about to leave after speaking. What he had to do was done. After careful consideration, he decided to put the diary on the Weasley family's youngest daughter. If found out, Arthur Weasley will have no good fruit to eat. If you can't find out, you can bring the diary into Hogwarts smoothly. In this way, Dumbledore must be able to detect the strong, dark magic atmosphere in the diary. All he needs to do now is to leave as soon as possible. As long as you walk out of the store, the diary has nothing to do with you. Lucius Malfoy silently praised his shrewdness in his heart. Pity, someone didn't want him to. Lucas pointed a veiled finger at Mr. Malfoy. Give him a leg lock curse. Mr. Malfoy, who was about to leave, suddenly stood up straight with his legs together. Due to inertia, he fell directly towards Arthur Weasley. Wait until Lucas lifts the spell. Mr. Weasley had already picked up the cauldron and hit Malfoy. Oh, Dad, come on, hit him. Hit King's him, Daddy. Fred and George stood aside and cheered loudly for their father. Mrs. Weasley screamed to stop the two. The bookstore is already crowded. The crowd wanted to avoid the two of them again, so several bookshelves were pushed down between pushing and shoving. The ongoing Gilderoy Lockhart signing event was also forced to stop, looking at the two wrestling together in the distance. Gilderoy's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Don't hit it, book. Be careful with the book. Everyone, please pay attention to your feet. The shouts of bookstore clerks, the sound of booing and cheering. The lively discussions were mixed together. Let Lehan Bookstore become more lively. It even attracted a lot of onlookers from outside. Lucas put his arms around his chest, looked at the two wrestling together, and said, Mr. Malfoy is really great. For our bookstore, he actually ended up disrupting the situation himself. Hermione gave him an annoyed look. She just saw the county. Obviously, Lucas used the leglock spell. Of course, she won't say it. After all, Malfoy and the Weasleys had nothing to do with her. Dad, Mom, come to my side, don't stand too close. Hermione hurriedly called her parents to her side. At this moment, a loud voice suddenly came from the door. Everyone, please make way. The familiar voice broke into Harry's ears. He seemed to see his savior, and immediately said to the person who came, Hagrid, help separate them. 094. With the diary in hand, Delisection is planning a conspiracy. Kneeling to customize. Hagrid is 3 meters tall. Bring a strong sense of oppression to the people present. Looking at the two people who were still wrestling on the ground. One in each hand, Hagrid easily separated the two. Let go of your hand. Lucius Malfoy broke free and shot Hagrid glare. It seems to be blaming the other party for meddling. He tidied up the messy wizard robes. After taking a last hard look at Arthur Weasley, he left Lehan Bookstore with Delacour. Although the person who caused the trouble left. But the scene has already become a mess. Ginny, who was closest to the two, was even more unlucky. The books I bought were all scattered all over the place. Ginny helplessly picked up the books on the ground, while being careful not to be stepped on by the people next to her. just when she was about to pick up standard spells. Several slender fingers appeared in her sight. The hands of the two touched the standard spell. At the same time, Ginny frowned and raised her head to see who was trying to take her book away. Bright brown eyes suddenly filled with surprise. Gold's hair and impressive blue eyes suddenly appeared in her sight. Look at the gentle smile on the corner of Lucas' mouth. Ginny suddenly felt her cheeks burn. The outstretched hand was quickly withdrawn. I'll help you, be careful. Lucas handed the standard spells in front of the other party, asked in a soft tone, I remember your name is Ginny Weasley? Yes, Mr. Grindelwald. Don't be so nervous. I'm not a man-eating monster. Lucas tried to speak to the other party in a relaxed tone. The beauty in front of her is small, with a pointed chin and long red hair, seems to be shy easily. During the chat between the two, Lucas also quickly found Riddle's diary among a pile of books. He used the book to cover it, and 193 reached out and touched the surface of the diary. In the blink of an eye, the diary was taken into Hufflepuff's secret garden by him. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. Horcrux Collection, 2/7. Reward, 100 achievement points. Hearing the beep, the smile on Lucas' face grew wider. He handed the books in his hand to Ginny and specifically reminded, quickly see if there are any missing. Ginny dared not look up at Lucas at all. She quickly counted the books and nodded quickly with her little head. Mrs. Weasley came from the side. She had been looking after her husband just now. After confirming that the other party is fine, he thought of his little daughter. Oh, Merlin, Ginny, are you all right? It's all right, Mom. Thanks to Mr. Grindelwald for helping me. Mrs. Weasley's eyes were full of gratitude. She clasped Lucas's hand tightly with both hands and kept saying thank you words in her mouth. Lucas tried several times to free his hand, but couldn't. When he returned to Hermione's side, the entire right hand was pinched and turned red. Is Ginny pretty? Hermione whispered in his ear. Lucas put his arms around the other's shoulders. Honey, no one can compare with you. Hermione was clearly satisfied with the answer. And this time she didn't refuse Lucas' approach because of the crowd. This made Lucas feel a little bit happier. Leavelyhan Bookstore. Hermione walked to the Leaky Cauldron with her parents. According to her, it was because there were still a lot of things left unpacked at home. Before leaving, I asked Lucas to take good care of Qiu Zhang. Since Hermione left, Lucas and Cho Chang have been silent. Qiu Zhang. Cho, you daff, can call me by my name. Okay, Cho, would you like some ice cream? Watching couples of young wizards and wizards tasting ice cream in the floor-to-ceiling windows. Although Qiu Zhang was shy, he nodded and agreed. 2 servings of ice cream opened the conversation between the two of them. As the seekers of their respective colleges, they are also top academics at the same time. There are so many things the two can talk about. Lucas has a great sense of humor and a wealth of knowledge. Attracted all of Cho Chang's attention. Maybe she didn't realize it herself. She looked at Lucas now with more admiration in her eyes. When the two walked out of the ice cream shop, it is already a state of talking and laughing, walking side by side. Lucas, that seems to be Mr. Malfoy. Qiu Zhang, who was shopping, suddenly pointed to the distance. It wasn't just Draco Malfoy, but beside him were several other heads of years from Slytherin Academy. Look at the way they sit around. It seems to be discussing something. This is strange. The head of the grade was discussing, but instead of looking for himself, he looked for Delasection. Lucas seemed to smell a hint of conspiracy. I said, what are you guys doing here? Della coo. Payne and others were startled by the sudden sound. I saw Lucas walking towards this side step by step. Della got up first and said, it's so late, I have to go back quickly, otherwise Dad will teach me again. As he said that, he also pretended to look at the sky. Then without saying hello, turning around is like running away from a distance. That's right, just run. Seeing this, several other people also made various excuses. Before Lucas could react, the person in front of him disappeared without a trace. Sure enough, there is a conspiracy, and it doesn't look like Draco is the mastermind. Lucas, what happened to them? Looking beside Qiu Zhang with a curious look on his face. Lucas smiled and shook his head. The two hung out in Diagon Alley until lunchtime. After enjoying a sumptuous lunch together, the two bid farewell to each other, returned to Grindelwald Manor. Lucas locked the door and took out Riddle's diary. Looking at the blank diary, he picked up a quill and wrote, "Hello," on it. A week passed quickly. King's Cross Station welcomes a new batch of young wizards. Karen Kassane looked at the little girl in front of her and said, "Little girl, I have answered you many times. There is no platform 9 3/4 here." Hermione, who was passing by, suddenly laughed. Lucas looked at her puzzled. "It's nothing. I just think of myself last year when I was so stubborn standing in front of that uncle asking where the platform was. If I hadn't met you later, I'm afraid I would have become the first little wizard to miss the Hogwarts express train. Reminds me of the encounter between the two last year." Lucas chuckled a little too. "Help me hold the salute. I will help that little witch, just like you helped me back then." Hermione handed the salute to Lucas, turned and walked towards the little witch behind her. Board the Hogwarts Express. Still the old location. It's just that there is one more person in the carriage this time. Seeing Hermione and Qiu Zhang murmured, they didn't know what they were discussing. Lucas looked out the window. This school year was not easy for him either. First of all, the exploration of the Forbidden Forest has not been completed yet. If possible, he also wants to recover the werewolves in the Forbidden Forest. That's why he asked Professor Snape to provide a bottle of wolfsbane every month. Then there are the secret rooms of several other giants. The Slytherin Chamber of Secrets can only be entered by following Harry. This is nothing to worry about. Lot 1 Keluo's Chamber of Secrets. Lucas guessed that the crown should be needed to open it. As it happens, whether it is collecting relics or destroying Horcruxes, Ravenclaw's crown cannot be bypassed. So he also needs to find R.A. when Claw's diadem from the Room of Requirement during the school year. Fortunately, he has figured out a way to deal with the garbage. Just waiting to go in and test it later. Finally, there is Gryffindor's Chamber of Secrets. This should be the most clueless. But Lucas had thought of a solution. It just needs to be verified if his guess is true. Then he should be able to complete the series of achievements for exploring Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this school year. By the way, Lucas is also very interested in the basilisk that has lived for thousands of years. Plus, subdue the basilisk. So it looks like he has a lot going on this school year. Lucas looks away. He looked at the diary inside the wizard's robe. He didn't destroy Riddle's diary. He also needs the other party to wake up the basilisk so that he can enter the Slytherin's secret chamber. And whether you can enter Gryffindor's secret room, you also need to read this diary. Therefore, keeping a diary is of great use. "Lucas, have you seen Harry?" Delica's voice came from the carriage door. Lucas shook his head and asked curiously, "Isn't Harry with Ron Weasley?" "No, I have searched all the carriages, but there is no sign of the two of them." Dobby, the house elf, came to Lucas' mind. Looking at the frowning Delaco, Lucas comforted, "Don't worry, Harry will be fine. If they really missed the train, they should ask the school or the Ministry of Justice for help." Even though he said so, but Lucas was a little worried. During the half-month at Malfoy Manor, Harry seemed to have grown a lot. Think carefully before making a decision. But he had an extra Ron Weasley by his side. Lucas wasn't so sure. Just then, the whistle of the Hogwarts Express train sounded. Watching the scenery outside the window slowly retreat, Lucas and others knew that Harry really missed the train this time. At the same time, outside King's Cross Station, Ron pulled Harry towards his father's magic car. The car was modified by his father, can fly in the sky, but also for a short period of stealth. "Ron, wouldn't it be nice to do that? Mr. Weasley would be in trouble if the Muggles saw it. If we don't catch the train, we will be in more trouble." Ron threw their salute into the trunk, pushing Harry into the passenger seat. "Please fasten your seatbelts, sir." As soon as the words fell, Ron stepped on the accelerator. The car soared into the sky, but he forgot that this was outside the busiest station, and he didn't turn on the stealth device on the car in advance. 095, the savior classmate who has no progress. The conspiracy is emerging. Kneeling to customize. As soon as the train started, Della's classmates disappeared immediately. Hermione cast a curious glance at the empty doorway. "Why do I think Mr. Malfoy is a bit strange? Leave him alone. I don't know what he's planning for the past week. Whenever he sees me, he will run away. If Harry hadn't been found today, he probably wouldn't have come to my compartment." Although Lucas didn't know what Della was planning, but he can be sure that it is harmless to him. That being the case, Lucas didn't bother to ask. He will know when he should know. The train rattles and rattles on the tracks. The scenery along the way attracts the eyes of first-year freshmen. As old students, Lucas and the others only hope to get to Big Hogwarts soon. Finally, after dark, the train stopped at the terminal. Watching first-year students being taken away by Hagrid, Lucas and others followed the station staff to a carriage. "Why is there no horse in front of this carriage?" Someone in the crowd immediately asked a question. "Because the cart is pulled by thestrals, and thestrals are magical creatures that can only be seen by those who have witnessed death." The students who answered the questions were Lawan Keluo's students. For knowledgeable young eaglets, these questions are studied long before school begins. "Stop chatting, a group of 4. Hurry up and get in the car." Accompanied by the urging of the staff, everyone got into the thestral carriage. Just at this time, Delica walked unsteadily from behind. Judging from his appearance, he seemed to be still looking for Harry. "Della, still haven't seen Harry?" "No, I want to enter the school later. I should go to the dean or Professor McGonagall." After that, he boarded the carriage of Lucas and others. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. Second-year student. Reward, 20 achievement points. The dining room of Hogwarts is still the same. Countless candles float in midair. The resident ghosts are hiding between the restaurant and the gate, preparing a fixed program every year. Lucas looked over at the Gryffindor table. Harry and Ron were not seen. It seems like they made the same choice as the original. Boom! The closed door was pushed open. Professor McGonagall walked in with a group of frightened freshmen. "It turned out that the seniors looked at us like this last year. It was really stupid. I must have been seen trembling and frightened." Pansy Parkinson had a helpless expression. The same goes for everyone else. But soon the little snake's attention was attracted by the sorting ceremony. Rice Sabani hooks up with Theodore Knott. Discuss whether there are any attractive girls among the freshmen. Pansy and Daphne began to chat about some skincare potions. Luna Lovegood. Hear Professor McGonagall call out his name. Lucas couldn't help looking at the bar stool, dark gold long hair, silver eyes, light eyebrows, and pale skin. With a unique, ethereal temperament. Luna is so unique among the group of freshmen. Lawan Clow, with the sorting hat announcing the results. There was a round of applause from the long table of Lawan Keluo. Professor McGonagall looked at the parchment in his hand and said again, "Ginny Weasley." Ginny walked nervously to the high stool. Before taking her seat, she glanced at the long Slytherin table. "Oh, Merlin, this beauty is not bad." No sooner had Rice Zabini finished speaking than he felt his tongue stick to the roof of his mouth. At the same time, Lucas' casual voice rang in his ears. "Mr. Zabini, if you look around like a baboon in heat again, I promise this spell will turn you straight into a slug." Puff, there was suppressed laughter all around. Zabini shook his head in a panic, expressing that he would not do it again. But his spell was not broken until a sumptuous dinner appeared on the table. Gryffindor. Ginny stepped off the high stool with a disappointed expression on her face. With one last glance in the direction of Slytherin, he silently walked towards the Gryffindor table. Lucas didn't notice the girl's emotions, because he noticed that Professor Snape left the table suddenly. Probably Harry and Ron Weasley arrived. Harry looked at Filch beside him, the squib keeper, who seemed happy to have caught himself. "You're dead. I'm going to bring you before Professor Snape. He'll be happy to expel you from school." Oh no, Ron howled in pain. This made Filch even happier. Several people came to Professor Snape's office. The Master of Potions is always in that black robe all year round. Greasy hair draped over his shoulders. He stared darkly at Harry Potter. The famous Mr. Harry Potter seems to dislike the trouble of taking the train, so he did something more exciting with his little friends. Am I right? "Professor, it's actually—" "Shut up." Professor Snape didn't want to listen to the Savior's explanation at all. He pulled out the Evening Prophet, which was urgently published tonight. A total of 7 muggles saw a car flying in the sky, and the people from the Ministry of Magic did not settle the impact of this incident until evening. "Now tell me, what the hell did you do to that car?" Professor Snape was very angry, not just because some muggles saw flying cars. He was even more mad at Harry for playing with his own life. 2 underage wizards drove across most of England in a flying car with no safety guarantee. Only giant monsters would do such stupid things. Professor Snape took a deep breath. trying to calm himself down. It's a pity. If you were students of my academy, I would expel you immediately, but I don't have the power. However, don't be too happy. I'm going to find someone with this power now. Professor Snape didn't give the two the chance to continue their arguments. Get up and walk out of the office quickly. The loud sound of the door closing startled them both. Oh shit, we're going to be fired. Snape will never let go of such a good opportunity. Hearing Ron's words, Harry frowned. And this happened to be seen by Ron. Harry, you don't think Snape protected you last school year, so he won't fire you? Didn't you tell me that he hated you and your father? Maybe it was only you who protected you last year because of Dumbledore's orders. Harry frowned even tighter, just as he was about to say something. The office door opened again, watching Headmaster Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall walking into the office. The two immediately stood up straight, looking at their toes. What a disappointment, Mr. Potter, Mr. Risley. Harry stole a glance at Professor McGonagall's expression. The other party who found her pursed her lips and suddenly felt bad. This was the first sign of Professor McGonagall's tantrum. Now explain. The wall access at King's Cross Station is blocked. Before Harry finished speaking, Professor McGonagall asked, Then why don't you write to us or the parents? I remember you have an owl, right? 0 for flowers. This, seeing that Harry couldn't answer. Disappointment flickered in Professor McGonagall's eyes. She was about to say something else, but was stopped by Dumbledore. Harry, what you and Mr. Weasley have done today has caused the Ministry of Magic a lot of trouble. Mr. Weasley, your father, as director of the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts Division, has a Muggle car at home, and it doesn't do him a favor. According to the regulations, I should have expelled you, but I do not intend to do so today. Your punishment will be determined by Professor McGonagall. The look on Professor Snape's face was one of amazement. He came to Dumbledore and said, Mr. Headmaster, the two of them ignored the prohibition on the use of magic by underage wizards and also caused damage to a precious ancient tree. He 11. Enough, Severus. Leave this to Professor McGonagall. We'll go to the banquet first. Wait until the two leave. Harry and Ron breathed a sigh of relief. Professor McGonagall also walked out of the potions office after a while. But the two of Harry were left behind. In the office, Ron ate the bread on the table, looked at Harry. Look, how bad Snape wants to kick us out of school. Harry, what happened last year was just an accident. It turns out that Snape seems to hate you even more. Harry nodded, actually agreeing with Ron's nonsense. That's what I thought too. If he was really protecting me, he wouldn't want to kick me out of school. Seeing that his friend finally communicated, Ron held up the pumpkin juice to signal to the other party. Congratulations, buddy. You finally understand, but you have to believe that after this time, Snape may dislike you even more. Harry shrugged his shoulders indifferently and said with a look of disgust, Sorry, I don't like him either. Time passed by every minute and every second. The opening dinner is also drawing to a close. After everyone listened to a school song with hundreds of tunes, the students from the 4 colleges began to walk towards their dormitories. As usual, on the first night of the Slytherin term, the head of years is elected. That was the case last year. It was still Prefect Gemma who presided over the ceremony. Except for freshmen. The chiefs of other grades still haven't changed, not even the challengers. When it's the first graders' turn, several chiefs gathered together to comment. The level of spells for freshmen is much worse than last year. Not to mention Lucas, even Della, is much better than his peers. However, the eyes of several chiefs still looked at a freshman, Noel Shafik. The Shafik family, one of the 28 sacred families. No one from this family has been enrolled in Hogwarts for a long time, so it aroused the strong interest of several chiefs. Not surprisingly, Noel Shafik won the top spot. Wait until the results are announced. Noel Shafik walked up to Lucas step by step. Mr. Grindelwald, my father asked me to convey my thanks to you, and you will always be the most honored guest of the Shafik family. Noel's attitude attracted the attention of all the students. Lucas nodded calmly. After a few words of encouragement, he planned to leave. After the ceremony was over, he planned to go back and continue teasing little Tom in the diary. But at this moment, the third-year chief, Eli Macmillan, stepped up. Lucas Grindelwald, I challenge you to a duel. Lucas frowned and turned to look at each other. Suddenly, it seemed that all the grade chiefs were standing opposite him. He knew that the long-planned conspiracy of Della and others was finally about to start. 096. Chief Slytherin. Tom, can you help me with my homework? Kneeling to customize. Looking at the malicious smiles of Macmillan and others. Lucas frowned before he could figure out their plans. Prefect Gemma Farley said, Second-year head Lucas Grindelwald, do you accept Eli Macmillan's challenge to a duel? Did not expect. Even the prefects are involved. Lucas looked around the common room. All the Slytherin students were watching him now. Okay, I accept. Lucas drew his elder wand. The two walked to the middle of the lounge and saluted each other as wizards. As a child of a wizard family, almost all of them have learned dueling etiquette. Wait until the two are back-to-back and walk to the corresponding position according to the rules. Prefect Gemma yelled, 3, 2, 1, go! Fuchsia. The sound of the beginning has just sounded. Lucas waved the wand in his hand. Eli Macmillan flew above the transparent ceiling in the blink of an eye. The magical creatures in the Black Lake were very curious about this human who suddenly appeared in front of them. Lucas Grindelwald win. Prefect Gemma announced the result. Everyone found that Lucas had no intention of breaking the spell. Instead, he looked at the other grade chiefs. Since a duel is proposed, there will be a price to pay. It's better for Eli to stay on top until everything ends on June 17th. So who's next? The wand twirled rapidly in Lucas' hand. His casual look managed to irritate several grade heads. Lucas, don't get complacent too early. 4th grade chief. Marty F. Lynn-Tay proposes a duel to you. The Fu Lynn-Tay family is also a pure blood family with a long history. It is also one of the 28 sacred clans. Most of the heads of years in Slytherin Academy are members of the Holy 28 family. This is also a matter of course. The children of these pure blood families. Before entering school, family education has already begun. Naturally, he is much stronger than his peers. Like Draco Malfoy, although people are a little naive, but he is no matter the strength of mana or the level of mana. In the 2nd grade, he was only worse than Lucas. When the children of muggles or half-blood wizards are still fantasizing about using magic. Children of pure blood families may already be practicing the use of the fire charm. After the complicated duel etiquette, Marcy F. Lynn-Tay took the lead. Eli's lesson lies ahead. She wasn't going to give Lucas the first shot. Marcy merely waved his wand. A couple of strong ropes flew towards Lucas. If that wasn't enough, another flash of white light erupted from the tip of her wand. Judging from the casting action, it should undoubtedly be the petrification spell. Exquisite silence spell. Lucas first praised the other party. Then it easily defeated Marcy's spell. Before Marcy could react, Lucas' stunning charm plus fuchsia hit her. Even seeing Miss Marsh could not escape the fate of hanging upside down from the ceiling. Seeing the smiling Lucas, the little snakes suddenly shivered. Next, is it your turn, the 5th grade chief, Cecil Foley. Cecil walked to the middle of the field with a wry smile. Lucas, be merciful. Can you not hang me up? Lucas raised his eyebrows and didn't agree with the other party. The result is, of course, needless to say. The 5th-year head has also become a decoration in the Slytherin Lounge. Soon, only the last pen Travers remained as the head of the grade. Professor Snape appeared on the sidelines at some point. The Slytherin Snake King had never paid attention to the chief challenge. Usually the prefect informed him of the results of the challenge the next day. Lucas, you are really excellent, and it is not in vain for us to make such a decision. Payne looked at Lucas with relief in his eyes. He will be graduating after this year. If he could meet an excellent Slytherin like Lucas in his final academy career, he could leave with peace of mind. He firmly believed that under the leadership of Lucas, Slytherin Academy would become more and more excellent. Lucas probably guessed what these people were planning. He asked Payne, who was standing in front of him, "Is it you or Draco?" Payne understood what Lucas was asking. It's me and him and Eli, Cecil, Carl, and Marcy. It's a decision made by everyone. Stop talking nonsense. I won't be defeated as easily as the previous guy. Payne turned his back on Lucas when he finished speaking. Prefect Gemma came to the side and shouted, "Duel ready. Start." Bones to pieces. Payne's shot was a fierce spell. Lucas didn't hesitate, pointed his wand at the other party, and used the explosion curse. Two people come and go. Every spell is full of deadly threats. If there's a little carelessness, it is easy to be seriously injured by the curse. The wonderful duel attracted everyone's attention, especially freshmen who just entered school. It turned out that what they thought was a wonderful duel before could only be regarded as a warm-up. Oolong out of the hole. A black light flew from the tip of Pentraver's wand. A cobra with thick water and several meters in the field appeared in the lounge. The little snakes exclaimed, "Back again and again." The cobra opened its mouth wide and roared at Lucas. Nobuko almost touched Lucas' cheek, just when everyone thought Payne's victory was over. But I saw Lucas cast a transformation spell on a group of sofas next to him. It was a loud chirp. Everyone saw a huge snake sculpture soaring into the sky. Snake carving, the natural enemy of snakes, feeds on snakes, and 80% of the food in their stomachs are all kinds of snakes. A carving and a snake wrestled together in an instant. And Payne and Lucas weren't idle either, because he was worried about hurting Payne. Lucas hasn't been using much magic, and he didn't use some powerful spells, such as the Unforgivable Curse and his best Fierce Fire Curse. But the duel is almost over now. Lucas swung his wand at the opponent and used the combined skill of Petrification Spell plus Division Spell. Payne, who dodged the Petrification Curse, was wounded in the arm by the Splitting Curse. His skin cracked instantly, and blood sprayed from his fingers and dripped onto the ground. Disarm you. Payne, who was injured in his arm, had no power to fight back. The wand was drawn by the spell and flew towards Lucas, held tightly in his hand. Senior Payne, I won. Lucas handed the opponent's wand back. Payne lifted the blood-stained hand and took it with a trembling hand. Well, you won. After he finished speaking, he looked at the dean, Professor Snape, and Prefect Gemma. Snape drew his wand and pointed it at the ceiling. Admiralty strikes. Several grade chiefs were finally relieved. He rubbed his head that was drowsy due to blood congestion. Several people came to Payne. Lucas Grindelwald, brilliant, shrewd, confident, powerful, and ambitious. 0. This is exactly what a Slytherin should have. We firmly believe that Slytherin Academy will become stronger under the leadership of Lucas Grindelwald. Today, Lucas Grindelwald conquered all the grade chiefs with his excellent and powerful performance, and I believe his performance has also been recognized by all Slytherins. I declare that with immediate effect, Lucas Grindelwald has been elected Slytherin Academy, head of the Academy. Finished following the words of the Prefect Gemma. Several chiefs immediately drew out their wands and stood in front of their chests. They bowed to Lucas with a sincere heart. The other little snakes only reacted at this moment. They straightened up, straightened their clothes, and drew their wands. Salute to Lucas, the new head of the Academy. Lucas looked around the lounge. Everyone bowed their heads to themselves, which represented surrender. Not even Professor Snape, the head of Slytherin, also nodded to him slightly. This is the position of the head of the Academy. This moment, Lucas became the most powerful person in Slytherin House besides the headmaster. Even if it is the prefect elected by the school, even if it is the chief of each grade, as long as they were still in Slytherin House, they would obey his embarrassment unconditionally. Thank you, everyone. Please rest assured, as the chief of the Academy, I will not let you down. Everyone got up slowly. He looked at Lucas with hot eyes. Congratulations to the host for completing a new achievement. The initial formation of forces. Reward, 500 achievement points. Strictly speaking, the students of Slytherin were Lucas' first faction at this moment, and the Saints can only be counted as his inheritance from Grindelwald. Lucas turned and walked up to the steps. The little snakes spontaneously gathered in front of him. Everyone, as the head of the Academy on the first day of school, I will make 3 requests to you. First, this semester prohibits any students from the college from going out for night tours. Chiefs at all levels, please strictly supervise. Second, in this school year, in addition to your own homework, I require everyone to learn the Patronus Charm. If you don't know how to do it, please ask your grade chief or come to me directly. Third, last year, our Slytherin Academy has won the Academy Cup for 7 consecutive years. This is our glory, but I hope this glory will continue in 2.6, so please continue to work hard this school year and don't miss any chance to win college points. Yes, Chief. The answer echoed throughout the Slytherin lounge in unison. Lucas nodded in satisfaction and then looked at Della, beside him. Second year chief vacancy, now held by Draco Malfoy. Della looked overjoyed and nodded respectfully to Lucas in response. Yes, Chief, I will not let you down. Pansy, Bryce, and others surrounded Draco with blessed smiles on their faces. It's all over. Lucas finally returned to his own single dormitory, although it is very late. But he didn't feel sleepy. Recalling the feeling just now, Lucas remembered his father's previous teachings in his mind. Power is indeed easy to fascinate people, and even more likely to make people lost. Force yourself to calm down. To divert attention, Lucas took out Riddle's diary. Riddle, I'm at school. Can you help me with my homework now? Written in a diary with beautiful cursive characters. Soon the ink stains disappeared. After waiting for a while, a paragraph appeared in the diary. 097. Tom Riddle's helplessness. Gilderoy's big fan Ron. Kneeling to customize. According to me, there should be no homework at the beginning of Hogwarts. By the way, how are you doing in Slytherin College? See the diary's reply. Lucas picked up the quill again and chatted with the other party. Over the past week, he has established a deep friendship with little Tom in the diary. The other party's willingness to help him with his homework is the best proof. When Lucas introduced himself, said he was probably a half-blood wizard. Why do you say probably? Because muggles are not sorted into Slytherin by the sorting hat. When introducing his life experience, Lucas described himself as an abandoned baby who was abandoned at the gate of the orphanage. The exact same life experience immediately got little Tom's sympathy. For a full week, Lucas was complaining to each other about the bullying he had received in Slytherin, and little Tom always said some comforting words, giving people a kind of intimate big brother feeling. It would be better if there were no demagogic remarks in it. That's right, it's deception. For the Horcrux Riddle's diary, Lucas combined the original description with the research of the week. Draw some conclusions. First, the diary serves as Voldemort's first Horcrux. The soul fragments in it are thoughtful, and with the long communication with the diary. The black magic on the diary will subtly absorb the vitality of the user. Secondly, the soul shards in the journal will use the Imperius spell or magic similar to the Imperius spell. This conclusion can be seen from the fact that Ginny was controlled to open the secret room in the original book. However, this means of control is unstable. Otherwise, Ginny wouldn't have thrown the diary in the ladies' bathroom. Another point is that the solid card cannot be determined 30. In the original book, after Ginny threw away the diary, she secretly stole it back from Harry's dormitory. After all, it was Ginny's own wish, because she was afraid that others would find out the secret of the diary. Or is it controlled by the diary again? If it's the former, fine. If it is the latter, it means that there's still black magic similar to a contract in the diary. If so, there will be some trouble. Lucas wasn't planning to be the heir to some Slytherin. Lucas, what's wrong with you? Words appeared on the diary again. I saw little Tom, who couldn't wait. Lucas quickly picked up the quill and continued chatting with the other party. It's been a week. Lucas didn't feel his vitality diminish. On the contrary, he eats well and sleeps well every day, full of energy. Lucas suspected that his soul strength should be relatively high. The strength of magic power is not weaker than that of Voldemort when he was in school. That's why the soul fragments in the Horcrux didn't attack him for a long time. Have to say, Lucas guessed pretty well. Tom Riddle in the diary was also helpless. The little wizard in front of him seemed to be surrounded by the iron armor charm. It doesn't suck at all. Riddle sat in the diary and frowned. It is considering whether to try another person. But he was a bit reluctant to let him give up Lucas, who had been bewitching him for a week. Lucas didn't know that he was messing with Riddle. Today's hookup is over. He casually put the diary on the desk. 1 week, he gave the diary another week. If the other party does not act again, he could only return the diary to Ginny. As for why it was given to Ginny, first of all, she is a member of the Weasley family, Ron's sister. The savior classmate was taken care of by Weasley during the summer vacation, and he would not let Ginny's accident go unnoticed. Secondly, girls are delicate in mind and have many little secrets that cannot be communicated with others. After discovering the magic of the diary, she can't help but confide in it. The next day, the little wizards ushered in the first class of the new school year, Herbalism. Professor of Herbalism is Dean of Hufflepuff College, Sprout Iota. Moreover, Herbalism is still one of the few 4 colleges to take a big class together. Hermione took Lucas' arm. Since the trip to France, the little witch seems to be much more courageous than before. I don't know what's so good about Lockhart. Most of us at the academy are obsessed with it. Most girls, right? Well, most girls. Hermione was a little dissatisfied with her boyfriend correcting her bad sentences. She went on to whine. What's even worse is that Lockhart will come to Hogwarts to teach defense against the dark arts. Merlin, now the lounge is full of people talking about him, which makes it impossible for me to study. See Hermione's frown. Lucas reached out and smoothed it out. Don't worry, that guy won't be proud for long. Trust me. The words of comfort were just finished. Ron's loud voice came from behind the two of them. Merlin, I'm so happy that Gilderoy Lockhart is our professor. Harry, you know what? I used to sit in front of the radio every day and wait for the magic radio to play the Lockhart Book Club. I'm sure Professor Lockhart is the greatest wizard in the world besides Dumbledore. Lucas deliberately glanced behind him. Unexpectedly, Mr. Ron Weasley would be a fan of Lockhart, thinking that there will be a defense against the dark arts class in the afternoon. Lucas looked forward to it. His favorite to watch is the reaction of fans after the idol collapsed in the hearts of fans. Lucas recalled what Lockhart taught in his first class. The other party seems to have prepared a bunch of leprechauns, like Cornish elves. At the same time, Office of Defense against the Dark Arts. Lockhart looked at the metal cage as tall as a person in front of him with an excited expression on his face. The thing's inside, but he spent a lot of money to buy from others, just to be able to make a blockbuster in the first class of school. With the black cloth above lifted, a group of ugly, green-skinned goblins came into view. Song Lin Yi is a herd creature, highly poisonous, irritable, easily irritated, and powerful in attack. Single individual risk level. XXX group hazard level. 4x the Ministry of Magic expressly prohibits adult wizards from capturing alone and states that facing Song Lin Yi alone will be life-threatening. But Lockhart had now brought such a dangerous creature into Hogwarts. It is also planned to let a group of underage wizards face it. Neither did Lucas. Their upcoming defense against the dark arts class could be life-threatening. Hogwarts' third greenhouse. Today's herbalism class will be conducted here. In first grade, the little wizards have only entered the first greenhouse. Listen to the stories of senior students. The herbs in the third greenhouse are more interesting, but also more dangerous. When Professor Sprout walks in from the outside, students from all 4 faculties are ready. Today's class is about Delagrass, a magic herb that cries and screams when pulled out of the ground. Young wizards, today we're going to repot Mandela. So now who can tell me what are the properties of Mandela? Both hands were raised almost simultaneously. Hermione looked back at her boyfriend beside her. The other party lowered his arm tactfully. Okay, Miss Granger to answer. Mandela grass, also known as Mandela grassroot, is the main material for making powerful restoration potions. A powerful recovery potion, which can restore people who have been hit by a transfiguration spell or other spells to their original state. Professor Sprout gave Hermione an appreciative look. That's great. Thank you, La Wen-Ko. Get the first point since the beginning of school. Hermione felt somewhat smug, although I know that the opportunity to answer is given to me by my boyfriend. But Hermione wasn't unhappy about it. On the contrary, she was a little sweet in her heart. And Lucas doesn't care at all, since I learned that the rewards of the Academy Cup can only be claimed once. He didn't intend to continue working as hard as he did last year this school year. Besides, if he works too hard, others will live too comfortably. Don't make it too easy for the little snakes. At this time, Professor Sprout has asked the second question. Can anyone tell me what is the danger of Mandela grass? Originally, Lucas didn't intend to raise his hand, but Hermione took his hand and held it up. Okay, Mr. Grindelwald to answer. The cries of Mandela kill a man. Professor. Lucas's unhurried answers always satisfied Splow. She just noticed the little witch's small movements. Slytherin also 10 points. Hearing that Lucas also added 10 points, Hermione showed a sweet smile. 193, sometimes girls are easily satisfied with certain things. For example, are also awarded points by the professor. Add house points for Slytherin. Professor Sprout held a pot of Mandela in front of him. The leaves of Mandela grass are green with a little purple, and I think it looks good after a long time. Now, put on your earmuffs. Look at my gestures. I didn't make a gesture to take off the earmuffs. None of you are allowed to take them off without permission. While the other party was talking, Lucas had already put on the earmuffs. There was even time to help Hermione adjust the position of the earmuffs. Wait until everyone is ready. Professor Prout forcefully pulled the Taiwanese out of the soil. The roots of Mandela grass are different from ordinary plants. It's more like a baby, only green. The baby's mouth was wide open at the moment, and the sound of crying resounded throughout the greenhouse. Even wearing sound-isolating earmuffs, there will still be a little crying into the ears. Professor Sprout was quick. She took out a larger pot, put the Mandela grass in it, and filled the soil in a few strokes. Just when she was about to signal everyone to take off the earmuffs, suddenly he saw Neville Longbottom fall backwards. Upon seeing this, Seamus said loudly, "Professor, Neville has passed out." "Oh, Merlin," Mr. Longbottom seems to have forgotten to put his earmuffs on tightly. "Go to a few people and send him to the infirmary." Neville's coma was just a blip. Then everyone started to repot the Mandela grass in groups. The relaxing and interesting herbal medicine class came to an end soon. Farewell, Professor Sprout. Lucas and Hermione walked towards the restaurant, where they were going to have a hearty lunch. During the period, the two also met Qiu Zhang, who also just finished class. Lucas is in the center, followed by two women, one on the left and one on the right. This combination has attracted many people's attention. While Lucas is enjoying his lunch, the familiar owl wobbled in again, seeing the familiar red envelope in the mouth of the other party. The little wizards in the restaurant immediately looked at Mr. Ron Weasley, who lowered his head and pretended to be dead. Before the letter was opened, someone in the restaurant was already laughing. 098. The broken wand caused trouble. Della found the diary. Kneeling to customize. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired you now, Ron Weasley. Mrs. Weasley's shouting letter this time was much louder than the previous one. The plates and spoons on the long table were rattled by the sound. Ron Weasley once again became the protagonist in the restaurant auditorium. It's been like this since last time. The interval is actually less than a year. Mrs. Weasley's tone of voice in the roaring letter. She was really angry this time. "You are so disappointing, so annoying, and your father is still under scrutiny by the Ministry of Magic. I should really recommend that the school expel you." The content of the roaring letter is over though, but the surrounding walls still echoed Mrs. Weasley's words. Ron and his savior classmate beside him shook their heads. Their ears are buzzing, but that's fine too, although you can still see the ridicule on everyone's face. But at least I couldn't hear what they were saying. The roaring letter finally turned in the direction of Ginny Weasley, and the tone suddenly softened. "Oh, baby, congratulations on making it a Gryffindor. Me and your father are so proud of you." After saying the last sentence, the Howler letter turned into a heap of ashes. Ginny Weasley looked around awkwardly. "I couldn't help but blame my mother." Slytherin long table. Del Lake laughed out loud immediately after the roaring letter ended. His relationship with Ron is like that of their parents. If there's a chance to laugh at the other party, you will never let it go. I really didn't expect that within a year, someone could receive 2 roaring letters. Ron Weasley, you really don't let Mom worry. Della's words drew laughter from the little snakes. Coincidentally, Ron's ears had recovered by this time. So when he heard Della's ridicule, annoyed, he drew out his wand and pointed it at the other party. Della was taken aback for a moment. The jeers grew louder when he saw Ron's duct-taped wand. "Red-haired Weasley, what's wrong with your wand? Could it be hurt? Enough is enough, Malfoy." Ron waved his wand, and a light moved up from the base of the wand, but just when the spell reached the wand break. But it shoots out in all directions along the cracked place, just like a broken water pipe. The little lions who were watching the excitement. When he found that the curse was flying towards him, he panicked for a moment. Fortunately, The power of the spell just hit the dining table, but those who escaped by chance soon found out. The food on the long table has turned into various insects and rodents. Delicious cake turned into a mouse. Peas turned into cockroaches. There are also earthworms, caterpillars, and so on. Looking at the bugs on the long table, some people suddenly felt a little nauseous. Disasters are only the beginning. When those rats start running around, cockroaches flew around and landed on the long tables of other colleges. The entire restaurant auditorium was in complete chaos. A good lunch, ruined by Ron Weasley's broken wand. Lucas used the plate to block the cockroaches flying towards him. The heads of all grades come to me. Delacour and others immediately approached him. After explaining to several people in a low voice, the heads of all grades immediately walked around the auditorium. At this time, the professors who got the news rushed over after hearing the news. Seeing the bugs everywhere, Professor McGonagall drew out his wand and was about to cast the breaking spell. Before she could say the spell, several Slytherin students lowered their wands to the ground, led by Lucas. All curses end, accompanied by shouting in unison. The red light gradually surrounded the entire auditorium. A counter curse to use as a group. The power of the curse of all curses is no small matter. Not only did the bugs all over the ground return to their original appearance, even floating candles are falling from the sky. All is at peace. Lucas walked up to the professors and apologized. "I'm sorry, Mr. Principal, Professor McGonagall. In order to control these transformed foods, I had no choice but to do something wrong. I didn't expect that even the magic on the candles would be terminated." "Oh, beautiful curses, you're doing a great job, Lucas," Dumbledore said with a grin. Looking at the messy restaurant, the demon mage slapped his hands twice, and the restaurant immediately became spotless. "To thank Mr. Lucas Grindelwald for his help, I would like to give Slytherin 10 points. Dumbledore finished. Professor McGonagall also happened to understand the whole process. She returned to the team of professors, looked at the little wizards in the dining hall, and said, "Ron Weasley, breach of school rules, causing major disruption. Gryffindor deducted 20 points. If eyes could kill. Ron was probably riddled with holes by now. Little lions never expected. On the first day of school, Mr. Ron Weasley gave them a big gift. A good lunch is interrupted. Students from various colleges return to their dormitories one after another. There is still some time before the afternoon class. Little wizards can still take a nap. Lucas." Delacour trotted to catch up with Lucas, who was walking ahead. "Lucas, I need to borrow your broom later." "Borrow a broomstick?" Lucas frowned and looked at the other party. "If you don't use the broomstick during practice time, you will be penalized for points." "Of course I know. I have other uses." "Okay, wait and get it yourself." Since Delacour finished talking about using the broomstick, Lucas was waiting for him in the room. But a full hour passed, and the other party did not come. I'm afraid that Bearchild has forgotten again. He always forgets things at a young age. It seems that he should advise Mr. Malfoy to take his son to St. Mungo's to check it out. Lucas glanced at the time. Tier Space went to the Forbidden Forest. Not long after he left, Della Branch pushed open the door and walked in. "Where are people?" Seeing that there was no one in the room, Della didn't think much about it. Seeing Lucas Nimbus 2000 standing on the head of the bed, he walked over immediately. After getting the broom, Delacour, who was planning to leave, suddenly stopped. "This diary looks familiar. How could I remember that I have one at home?" Delacour picked up Riddle's diary and glanced at it. It would be rude to think of flipping through someone else's diary. He hurriedly put down the diary again. Lucas, who came to the Forbidden Forest at this time, didn't know that he entered the dormitory just after leaving Della Branch. He stood in the Acromantula's lair and looked around. It's clearly deserted here, but looking at the spiders crawling in groups on the ground to the distance, Lucas knew it wouldn't be long. There will be many more achievement points in the Forbidden Forest again. The Forbidden Forest at Hogwarts is huge. If you can't find the right path, it's easy for common people to get lost in it. What's more, there are many dangerous magical creatures in the Forbidden Forest. The trees in the Forbidden Forest are tall, high enough to block the sun. If you don't walk towards the open, the Forbidden Forest will always be dark. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. Centaur Tribe. Reward: 100 achievement points. The system beep has just ended. The sound of horseshoes came from a distance. Watching the horsemen with bows and arrows surround themselves, Lucas didn't panic. Are you the little wizard from that day? Hello, Ronan Yanhong. I didn't expect such a coincidence. I met Ronan the Centaur, whom I met once during my last trip to the Forbidden Forest. Ronan signaled his companions to put down their bows. It came to Lucas and frowned. Little wizard, the Forbidden Forest is not where you should come. It's very dangerous here. Sorry, but I have a reason to come. Don't worry, I can protect myself. After Lucas finished speaking, he revealed the magic pressure of a normal adult wizard. Ronan frowned, but said nothing after all. The centaurs are an odd group. They believe in destiny very much, even if they can be divined by horoscope. Often it will go with the flow and will not interfere forcibly. Actually, Lucas wondered more if they accounted for his own death. To face it calmly, or to make changes. Your Excellency, Ronan, do you have a map of the neighborhood? I want to take a stroll around here. Seeing the horsemen looking at him vigilantly, Lucas knew that his words might have misunderstood them. Sorry, I didn't explain clearly. While speaking, Lucas released part of his body transformation. Purple's eyes and the spirit's breath spread around. Elf, the darling of nature. The most perfect creation of the Creator. From magical creatures, any elves are worthy of being respected by them. Forgive us for our recklessness, Your Excellency the elf. Ronan and the surrounding centaurs changed their appearance from just now. They bowed their front hooves and bowed in apology to Lucas. I didn't reveal my identity to everyone. Please rest assured, I just want to walk around, and please help me keep it secret. 17. Please rest assured, Your Excellency, the Centaur tribe will keep your secret forever. After that, Ronan took out a simple map from the magic pocket on his waist. Farewell, people tribe. According to the directions of the map, Lucas successively found the residences of the unicorn group and the poisonous leopard. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. Unicorn House. Reward, 100 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for completing. Until before class in the afternoon, Lucas explored the settlements of 10 magical creatures around the Centaur tribe. I have to say that the identity of an elf is really useful. Wang Li Hao. The magical creatures welcome him very much. Watching the achievement point break through the 10,000 mark again, Lucas wondered if he should find time for a 100 draw streak. It's also a good way to test your luck in the new school year. But the most important thing now is to hurry to the defense against the dark arts classroom. Wait there, but there's a good show going on. Use the void rift to return to the dormitory. Lucas immediately noticed that his broom was missing. He opened the door, just in time to see Delaco coming from a distance, still holding his own broom. Lucas, I was about to deliver you a broom. By the way, when did you come back? Just came back. Lucas motioned for the other to put the broom into the room. Delaco saw a familiar diary on the table again. Out of curiosity, he asked casually, "Where did you buy this diary? I remember that my family also has the same diary." Oh, Master Malfoy is really domineering. He doesn't allow others to have the same diary as his own. Della looked at his best friend angrily. He clearly knew he didn't mean that. Lucas smiled and pushed him out of the room. Okay, if you don't take the defense against the dark arts class, you will be late. That idiot Lockhart, I really don't want to go. In fact, most boys in the school don't like the pompous flower peacock. Before the two left, Lucas also put the diary into the secret garden. It seems that it is better to carry Riddle's diary with him. 099. Cornish elf? No, it's Song Linyi. Kneeling to customize. Worth to talk about. On the way to the defense against the dark arts classroom, a very interesting thing happened. Colin Creevy, the brave little lion, seems to have a lot of admiration for Lucas. In his own words, as a future well-known journalist, celebrities like Lucas Grindelwald and Harry Potter are worthy of his admiration. So, Lucas was stopped by this little guy holding a camera. "Mr. Grindelwald, would you please let me take a picture of you?" Yep, Colin Creevy didn't ask for a photo. Instead, he takes the picture. It seems that this can give him a sense of accomplishment. Lucas didn't dislike the Gryffindor in front of him, so he nodded in agreement. The surrounding Slytherin students immediately stepped aside, leaving space for the two of them. The photo shoot is over. Looking at Colin, who kept bowing to himself, Lucas was a little dumbfounded. At this time, Harry and his little friend came over. Colin's head seemed to be equipped with radar. Quickly found Harry's position in the crowd. "Harry Potter, please let me take a picture of you." The eyes of the people around were focused on Harry in an instant. Lucas took pictures, and everyone took it for granted, because he's the star of the school and deserves to be photographed. But Harry Potter, through the past year, student Harry successfully proved it to the whole school. The Savior is not omnipotent. The Savior exam would fail too. Savior will also be deducted points. If Harry Potter hadn't defeated the Dark Wizard Quirrell last school year, then the Savior classmate is not even as good as a common student. So, how can such a Savior compare with Lucas, who is both good in character and learning? Mockery in people's eyes. It's not that Harry didn't 283 see it, so he planned to reject his only little fan. But the words have not yet been spoken. Ron urged, "Harry, look how pitiful Corinth is. Just agree to his request. Besides, that guy Lucas took pictures just now. He can do it, why can't you? You defeated the mysterious man." His last words were whispered in Harry's ear. For so long, Harry could always hear people comparing himself to Lucas. This distressed him, and Harry was worried that Lucas would find out about Quirrell last year. At least for now, Harry still enjoys being flattered by others. Ron is right. Why should I be afraid of being ridiculed by others? I defeated the you-know-who, not them. The idea just came up. Harry felt someone grab his shoulders. "Oh, little wizard, I know you want to take a double photo of me and Harry, right? This is a rare opportunity. Take a photo." Gilderoy Lockhart appeared next to Harry at some point. See the flower peacock appear. Lucas shook his head and led the little snakes to the classroom. And the movement of his shaking his head happened to be seen by Harry, who raised his head. "Smile, Harry, you have to smile." Hearing what Lockhart said, Harry looked away and smiled confidently. Defense against the dark arts classroom. When the Gryffindor and Slytherin students were all seated, Gilderoy Lockhart walked out of the office with a confident smile. He stopped in front of a revolving stone staircase and introduced himself to everyone. "I, Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class, honorary member of the Anti-Dark Arts League. 5-time Witcher Weekly Award for Most Charming Smile. But remember, I don't wear a smile on my face very often. I don't smile to keep witches away. After all." Lockhart finished and winked at himself in the portrait. He said what he thought was very humorous. There were only a few responses available. Certainly. Face him with a smile. The ladies of the two colleges still bought it. Did not receive the desired effect. Lockhart picked up another of his books and said, "I see many of you have bought my full set of books." Speaking of which, he still seems very proud. Lucas looked at him strangely. If it weren't for the Hogwarts book list requiring purchase, the ghost would buy so many useless novels. He had reason to be skeptical. Lockhart came to apply for the Professor of Defense against the Dark Arts. One is to catch the popularity of Harry Potter. As for the second purpose, I'm afraid it is to sell his novels, right? Think about it. Hogwarts 7th-year students. This year, they all bought a complete set of Lockhart's novels. What a huge sum of money. You know, the price of one of his books is not cheap. Watching Lockhart, still bragging. The more Lucas thought about it, the more it seemed possible. Okay, students, in order to know how well everyone is studying, let's do a small test. Lockhart picked up a stack of parchment and walked off the podium. Lucas, who sat in the first row, got the test paper first. Looking at the whole 3 pages, there are a total of 54 questions. Lucas sneered inwardly. 1. What is Gilderoy Lockhart's favorite color? 2. What is Gilderoy Lockhart's secret ambition? 3. What do you think is Gilderoy Lockhart's greatest achievement so far? Look at a series of questions. Lucas picked up the quill and wrote on it, "Favorite color, shit yellow." The secret ambition is to keep Voldemort and Dumbledore at their feet. The greatest achievement is the successful application to become a professor of defense against the dark arts. Complete the first 3 questions. Lucas dropped the quill, crossed his arms, and began to stare blankly. Such an outrageous question. Many people are unwilling to answer. Certainly, those girls wrote very seriously. Seeing Lucas' appearance, Lockhart chose to ignore it. As a deceitful liar, Lockhart knew exactly who to mess with and who to never mess with. For example, Harry Potter is someone who can be used and provoked, and Lucas Grindelwald belongs to the kind of person who must not be provoked. Half an hour passed quickly. Lockhart took the paper back, sit in a chair, and looked carefully. At the same time, he also commented on the test paper. "Oh, it's such a disappointment that no one knows what gift I like. I remember I mentioned it in the book." Just then, he saw Lucas' test paper. "Look at the only 3 answers above." Lockhart coughed dryly and said, "I have to say, Mr. Grindelwald's answer is very beautiful. I think this test paper can get 100 points." Lucas sneered and closed his eyes. Until another 10 minutes passed. Lockhart just stood up from his chair. "Okay, now back to business. I'm here on a mission to teach you how to defend yourself against the worst things in the world." His mysterious appearance successfully frightened some timid wizards. Lockhart was pleased with the expressions on the men's faces. "But don't worry, as long as I'm here, I will never put you in danger." Lockhart had just finished speaking. Ron's voice came from behind. "Of course, we trust you, Professor Lockhart. Just like you subdue werewolves, teach us all those skills." Ron was like a super big fan. "The Lockhart is very comfortable to hold. Don't worry, Mr. Weasley, but I'll give Gryffindor 5 points for being so studious." Hearing myself add 5 points to the Academy. Ron flushed with excitement. He usually deducted points from the Academy, and this was the first time he added points. Lockhart smiled at Ron's look. Then he tore off the black gauze curtain behind him. A large cage, covered with black cloth behind the curtain, was revealed. Lucas looked puzzled. "The size of the cage in front of me is too different from what was mentioned in the original book." Before he could figure it out, Lockhart lifted the black cloth. Looking at the ugly guy with moth-like wings and green skin in the cage, Lucas' eyes widened immediately. The little snakes of Slytherin also had the same expression on his face. Della, who even swears directly, "Shit, this idiot. How could he bring Song Lin Yi demon to school?" Harry glanced at the flustered Slytherins. He curiously asked his friend, "Ron, what happened to the people in Slytherin? What kind of creature is this? Is it dangerous?" Ron looked at the green guy in the cage and asked suspiciously, "Maybe it's a Cornish elf?" "No, Cornish elves aren't like that, and they're not that big either." See Ron staring at the cage, guessing what kind of creature it is. Harry knew it was useless to ask him, just when he was going to ask others for help. Lockhart has the answer. "Song Lin Yi. These little guys are very dangerous, and it took me a lot of effort to catch them. But you can rest assured that I will not open the cage." He seemed to enjoy the way the little wizards were frightened. After finishing speaking, he took out his wand and knocked on the cage twice, seemingly casually. It was these 2 strokes that awakened the demon Song Lin Yi in the cage. See unfamiliar surroundings and people. These wild monsters immediately waved their wings and floated in midair. They looked at the little wizard in the classroom vigilantly. A few wooden thorns grew out from their ribs. The wooden thorn is the weapon of the Song Lin Yi demon. These with thorns have their toxins. If hit many times, it may even be life-threatening. By the time Lockhart found out, it was too late. Song Lin Yi's wooden thorn has been thrown. Lockhart, who was attacked, suppressed the drama and smiled at everyone. Then he raised his wand and muttered a spell. The spell hit the cage. The Song Lin Yi demon inside has not become quiet. Instead, Lockhart punched a hole in their cage. Song Lin Yi flew out of the cage, scrambling to be the first. Attacked everyone present. "Idiot!" Lucas drew his wand and shattered the splinter. Then he looked at the little snake behind him. "Delico, Pansy, Daphne, Bryce, Theodore, don't let these Bush Linny monsters escape the classroom." Several people nodded and waved their wands to control the windows to close. Then they formed a circle with Lucas, protecting the Slytherin students in the middle. With the protection of several people, the Slytherin students gradually calmed down. They drew their wands and began to fight back against the clumps of Lin Yi in the sky. As for Gryffindor, only a few people still know how to fight back. Most people are already hiding under their desks. Lucas looked behind him again and said, "Crabbe, Goyle, go find the professor immediately." The 2 nodded and escaped while Song Lin Yi was not paying attention. At this time, Lucas saw that Lockhart was going to flee back to his office. Want to escape when you get into trouble? It's not that easy. Lucas raised his wand and pointed it directly at the door Lockhart was about to close. Torna part. 100. Out-of-body controlled Ginny Weasley, kneeling to customize. The splitting curse instantly shattered the door in front of Lockhart. He froze for a few seconds, immediately looked fiercely at the direction from which the curse came. Just happened to meet Lucas's cold eyes. Lockhart quickly put away his expression, but it was too late. At the same time, without the barrier of the door, the Tsong Lin Yi demons threw the wooden thorns in their hands at Lockhart one after another. Several wooden thorns in the body, the skin around Lockhart's wound, a poisoning reaction. The skin began to fester, and Black's poisonous blood flowed from the wound. Lockhart screamed and covered his handsome face with his hands. As a result, his hands were attacked by several wooden thorns. Ron, who was resisting the wooden thorn with the book, drew out his wand and planned to fight back. Imagine the impact it would have in restaurant auditoriums today. He gave up the target in front of him, but pointed his wand at the farthest Tsong Lin Yi demon. And this Tsong Lin Yi was right in the sky above the Slytherin students. The corner of Ron's mouth twitched slightly, and then he said a spell quickly. All petrified, a ray of light flashed, and a magic spell reversed the output and knocked Ron into the air. Seeing the misery of a friend, Harry hurried over to help. It's been so long. The professors hadn't arrived yet. Lucas, who didn't intend to continue to show off, had to point his wand at the fish tank in the classroom. Watching Tsong Lin Yi demons and with thorns flying around the room, Lucas controlled the current to float in midair. With the magic wand drawing circles in the air, every time you draw more circles, the water flow in the air will grow stronger. This is another usage of the transformation curse. The effect is faster than clear water, like a spring. Almost in the blink of an eye, the water in the fish tank covered the ceiling of the classroom. Lucas flicked his wand again. The water flow violently dispersed into dozens of water clusters. The water mass caught those Bush Lin Yi demons, and with thorns flying around at an extremely fast speed. Lucas held up his free left hand. Both hands released the magic power at the same time, and the water cluster regrouped into a big water polo. Those Tsong Lin Yi demons are trapped in it. Wait until he's done with everything. The professors were long overdue. Running at the forefront are Professor Snape and Professor McGonagall. God knows how anxious the two of them were when they learned that there was Tsong Lin Yi in the school. But looking at the huge water polo in midair, after a brief surprise, the two looked at Lucas standing under the water polo. Oh, the superb transfiguration spell. Thank you, Lucas. You protected the student from two houses. I think I should add 20 points to Slytherin. Dumbledore's words sounded, successfully breaking the silence in the classroom. Merlin, why is there Tsong Lin Yi demon in the school? I must write a letter back to tell my father. Mr. Grindelwald, thank you for saving us again. Merlin's beard. It was a terrible day. Didn't Professor Lockhart say that you can rest assured with him? Mentioning Lockhart, everyone immediately turned to the office. Professor Snape walked in with a sullen face. After a while, he came out again with a strange expression. It wasn't until Lockhart was brought out by the zombies that everyone discovered that there were no less than 10 wooden thorns stuck in his body. It's terrible. Send it to the infirmary. Wait until Professor Flitwick leaves with Lockhart. Dumbledore only checked on the students. He looked first at his savior boy. Seeing that he was not injured, I was relieved immediately. Look around for a week. Dumbledore and the professors finally turned to Lucas, who was standing by the window. Looking at the students in both houses, almost half of Gryffindor were injured. It's just that the injury is not serious. Although the remaining half was not hit by the wooden thorn poison, Lies Dodge also caused some abrasions. But none of the Slytherin students were injured except for the messy wizard robes. This seemed unbelievable to the professors. Several people thought that Lucas took action to protect everyone. But Lucas said, I just used the final transformation spell, and everyone was not injured. It was the result of helping and protecting each other. Dumbledore looked at the little snakes in surprise. Seeing the confidence and pride in everyone's eyes, Dumbledore said with a smile, I see a rare quality in you. It might get you through in the future. Please keep it up, And I'll end by saying Slytherin plus 10 points for your outstanding performance. The little snakes clapped each other excitedly. Even the corners of Professor Snape's mouth turned up slightly. Of course, if you don't observe carefully, it is not easy to find. The farce is over. The school infirmary was full of Gryffindor students. As for Lockhart, he was sent directly to St. Mungo's. When students from the other two colleges heard about Tsong Linyi, those obsessed with Lockhart finally woke up. After all, it is a choice between worshipping idols and one's own life. These people will definitely choose their own lives. Because of this incident, the little witch and Qiu Zhang ran directly to the long table in Slytherin during dinner. Seeing the concerned eyes of the two women, several chiefs immediately took the lead in booing. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, the little wizards have already started school for a week. What Lucas did most this week was to open a map in the Forbidden Forest. This also brings him generous achievement points. For a week, the Forbidden Forest alone provided him with 4,000 achievement points. Today, the history of magic in the afternoon ended. Lucas didn't look for Hermione or Cho Chang, nor did he go back to the dormitory with the Slytherin snakes. Instead, a person came to the outside of the castle, leading to the corridor of Hey Who. Lucas was waiting for someone, Ginny Weasley. After observing for a few days, he found that this little beauty would go to the Black Lake to days every afternoon. Count the time. The other party is probably coming. The next moment, the sound of light footsteps came from a distance. Ouch! With her head down, Ginny felt as if she had hit a soft wall. She fell to the ground and raised her head. He actually saw Lucas standing in front of him. Ginny shook her head. 0 for flowers. I thought I was dazzled. Why are you here? Lucas didn't answer the other party. Instead, he squatted down and picked up the book that fell on the ground. Why do we pick each other up every time we meet? Ginny quickly stood up from the ground. When he took the book from Lucas, he didn't find that there was an extra Black's diary inside. Thanks. After Ginny thanked her, she planned to leave. Wait. Lucas stopped him and reached out to remove the leaves from Ginny's hair. When he looked at Ginny again, her eyes had become dull, and she was staring straight ahead. Ginny, if you have any troubles when you go back, remember to use that Black's diary. Ginny, who was controlled by the Imperius Curse, nodded slowly. Lucas smiled and pointed his fingers between the other's eyebrows. If an outsider sees it, they will only think that the two are acting intimately. Forget everything. With a smile on his face, Lucas erased the memory of Ginny's meeting with him just now. That way, Ginny wouldn't remember seeing herself in the corridor. Do it all. Lucas walked towards the castle without looking back. It wasn't until his figure completely disappeared that Ginny came back to her senses. Why am I here? Looking at the book in her hand, Ginny shrugged her shoulders and continued walking towards the Black Lake. Lucas was on his way back to Slytherin. Check in your mind for mistakes. The Imperius Curse he cast will fail tomorrow morning. Under the influence and control of the Imperius Curse, Ginny will definitely use the diary tonight. As long as she uses it, she cannot escape the fate of being controlled by the diary. As for whether it was cruel to Ginny, Lucas can answer with certainty, cruel. He actually liked that little beauty quite a bit. But none of this can affect his plan. For the greater good, walking to the door of the Slytherin dormitory, Lucas restrained the coldness in his eyes. When the door opened, he turned back to the good student who was both good in character and academic in the eyes of everyone. In the dead of night, Hogwarts Castle seemed to be turned off. Even the portraits that could be seen everywhere have fallen asleep. Slytherin dormitory. Lucas sat cross-legged on the bed, looked at the achievement points in the system, and said, "System, try your luck with 100 consecutive draws." The voice just fell. The prize pool appeared in front of his eyes. In just the blink of an eye, various rewards flew out of the prize pool. At the end of this lottery draw, a total of 42 bronze rewards, 40 silver rewards, 16 gold rewards, and 2 platinum rewards were obtained. There are 2 platinum rewards. My luck is so good. Lucas immediately opened the detailed introduction of this lottery. The bronze rewards for this lottery are as follows. 9 pieces of golden galleon, total amount. 815. Magic your cheese. 3 sets of signed team uniforms for the Black Harpies. 18 kinds of honeydew candies, and snot 2 pairs of songs, 2 bludgers, 2 bags of high-quality owl rations, 3 bottles of owl feather care cream, 2 pairs of wool socks. Man.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.